Harder, better, faster, stronger. Nah, 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 don't kill me, make me stronger. Kanye West. Here we go. Let me just open this. Sorry. It's like I'm soda hiss. Hello, everybody. Anyone who's watching, listening, whatever you may be doing. Welcome to Sea Monster Live. This is your host, the Sea Monster, bringing you all a pretty special stream, I would say. Um, this is pretty much going to be my one monstrous stream. Going to be talking about a little movie that will be turning a year by tomorrow, as well as celebrating G-Day in general. But first, let's get a guest in here. We got Minecraft
Hello.
World.
Hello. Oh man, I am very excited to be here for this. Oh,
Nice.
yeah. How have you been?
Pretty good. Pretty good. Yeah.
That's good. That's good. I've been okay myself.
Nice.
And I finally got two major horror movies off the list. Those being The
Yeah.
Descent and The Creature from the Black Lagoon, both of which I
Yeah.
very thoroughly enjoyed.
Yeah, I pretty much saw those posts on the Discord. Yeah, those two movies. Yeah, they're pretty good. Like Creature Black Lagoon is pretty good, and yeah, The Descent. I actually only had first seen like a few months ago, and yeah, that movie was very good. I
Yeah,
totally recommend
I've been hyping that one up for 3 years.
that.
Well worth it. And then
Yeah,
earlier today, in fact, like half an hour ago, I just finished rewatching Minus One in prep for this.
yeah.
God damn, that movie's good.
Oh yes, it is. Yeah. Yep, pretty much saw it. Well, saw the minus color version last night. So this would have
Nice.
been yeah. So basically now it's pretty much the second movie that I've seen 4 times in theaters. The first being King of the
Nice.
Monsters 2019. Hey
Nice.
Antonio. Oh, and before we go on, Antonio, I have watched that thermonuclear versus evolved Godzilla, thing that you were recommending. And yeah, pretty neat thing there. It's very kind of like very Dragon Ball esque, pretty much, in
Yeah,
terms of just
that's kind of Slick's modus operandi. He does a lot of fast-paced stuff akin to Dragon Ball.
yeah, yeah. I will say, like the fact that you got like burning Godzilla, kind of like doing his thing, like just kind of essentially nuking Rio de Janeiro. Like a couple things did come to my mind where it's just like, yeah, Kong and Scar King and even Shima would be dead. They would just be so dead. And second of all, yeah, like Rio itself would just not even exist. But yeah, it's pretty. Yeah, it's a fun little thing. You know.
Yeah. Well, at least the apes would be dead. Shimo, debatable.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh man. Oh man. Yeah.
Yeah, there's definitely a couple things that they're worth talking about here, I guess, in relation. Yeah, hearing that Yamazaki is gonna be doing another Godzilla film.
Oh yeah.
That's
Yeah. I am very excited to see what he cooks. Very much hoping he uses Hedora. He's probably going to use Hedora, and I don't mind that at all.
yeah. Yeah, I guess it kind of depends on if it is going to be a sequel to Minus One, or if it's going to be like another, or if it's going to be like another Godzilla movie with its own continuity. that's.
I mean, pretty much all signs point to it being a -1 sequel. He's posted on Twitter about Noriko twice. So like it's very safe to guess that it might be a sequel to -1, or at least some sort of continuation.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So I think there's definitely a. I guess if that's the case, then yeah. I mean, I pretty much definitely I am kind of fingers crossed because hoping it'll be good. Because it's like because minus one is like so.
Yamazaki has proven himself with this one, so it's very easy to faith him.
Yeah, and at the very least, he isn't going to be like, we shouldn't expect him to like do what Todd Phillips did with Joker.
Oh, absolutely not. He loves the fact that the movie was given the respect, and he absolutely understood the character inside and out. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's for sure. I don't know if C Animus is going to join. To answer Antonio's question, he said he may be able to come on. If he like he kind of has something going on. Personally.
I know Kaiju Kuru. He messaged me earlier saying that he's going to be a little bit late. So
yeah,
but he'll probably be on anyways, sometime soon. Yeah. Oh man. But yeah, like Yamazaki being back for the next one, like that's basically if they announced Shusuke Kaneko was going to do another Gamera film. It's going to be good. My worry with it is how are people going to take it, because -1 was such a tough act to follow in every way, in basically every stretch of the word. So
yeah, that's kind of my thing. Is like it's like even if the movie ends up being like real, like actually like excellent, pretty much, like if it's if it's somehow like even just like marginally not quite as strong as -1, it's kind of like I don't like how would people sort of like take that.
All right. Yeah. I would also Kuru's in the chat. Hi.
Hey.
Yeah. I was actually talking with him yesterday in VC in Discord voice chat. And one of the things that I joked about was watch Yamazaki become the next Shusuke Kaneko and make 3 of the best kaiju movies ever made again. That would be, and then go on to do Gamera. That could actually be a really interesting. I'd be really interested to see what he would do with Gamera now that I think about it.
Yeah. That would be interesting. Yeah. Yeah. I guess. I don't know if we want to wait a little bit here, but just kind of.
I think we should. I think we should wait a little longer, because if it was just the 2 of us, that'd be discussions would dry up. I don't know if Zim, Rooney, or Omni are going to be here.
I mean, I asked Omni. He said he's pretty much busy, but he'll see if he can come on later. If the stream's going on. So, Zim, I'm not entirely sure.
I'm fully expecting Rooney to pop in at least, because you know how he feels about -1.
Yes. Yeah. I bet. Yeah, I could totally. I could definitely see this. I think what I'm planning with with this stream is that I may even like obviously take out the filler segments and kind of like do like a super cut of like the discussion of -1, kind of like what I did with the Kiryu duology, pretty much.
Or similar to what you did with EFAP. Similar to that.
It would definitely be much closer to what I did for the Kiryu duology stream than the EFAP Kadam stream. But the EFAP Kadam stream is just kind of like, the supercut for that is basically just kind of like talk about how King of the Monsters is like really good, and how like EFAP just completely like dropped the ball on it. The Kiryu duology, it was mainly just, I mean, since it was just me for a good portion of that stream, it was just kind of me, I guess, just kind of talking, talking to the air, almost like kind of like a disc jockey a little bit. Just talking about the whatever like flaws or whatever praises, pros and cons for those two movies, for again Godzilla Against Mechagodzilla and Tokyo SOS. But
fair.
so this one would kind of be more closer to that, except at least I would have like more people here.
Fair enough.
And we can like poetic
I mean,
about.
I'm already one extra, so
yeah. Have you guys watched the brutally Hannes review on GXK? I'm hosting a stream on that next Saturday.
yeah.
I watched it.
That. I decided to watch through it. I've seen it in my recommended feed a couple times, but after you said you're doing the stream, I decided to watch through it. I agree with a couple of his points. But good God, that's the entire thing just comes across like copium.
Yeah. I'm not even.
There are individual points that I agree with, especially with what he's saying about the new monsters, Tiamat and Scylla. But
yeah. Well, we'll definitely be sure to save discussion on that next Saturday. That's gonna be a fun one.
Yeah.
Oh, hey, Thanatos. Yeah, -1 is great.
-1 is we're oh boy.
Yeah, we're -1 lovers here on this stream.
Oh my God. I still remember watching that movie for the first time. I went with my childhood friend. It was for the fan preview 2 days before it was initially released. And safe to say both of us were blown away.
Yeah. Yeah, like the first time I saw -1, it was like it was pretty much on like a much smaller screen that I pretty much would have liked, but it was still, but yeah, the movie still had a lot of, like, it definitely still didn't change the experience all that much. It was like, wow. And it's only when you see it like on a bigger screen, it's like you really get the sense of it.
Yeah, and then I took my family to watch it again that Saturday, and then the week after it premiered was my birthday, and I decided to treat myself by going to watch it again. And then when the Minus Color week happened, my youngest brother went to watch Wonka, and I took my middle brother to go watch it with Minus Color because he loved the movie as well, and I figured why not.
Yeah. Honestly, I don't know if I'm in the minority on this, but I think the movie looks better in Minus Color than the color.
I partially agree. Like, both of them are incredible. Don't get me wrong. Both of them are absolutely incredible. But I partially agree.
Yeah, I don't want to undersell the regular color version. The regular color version looks really great. But the Minus Color version just seems like
the Minus Color to me. Well, the Minus Color to me, I think, helps because it hides a lot of the technical issues a lot more. Something I noticed on rewatching, I kept my eye out for some of the technical issues as well. There were some stuff, namely with some of the close-up shots of his feet, but for the most part, it wasn't bad. With Minus Color, there wasn't really any of that.
Yeah, I mean, like, yeah, I mean, like the regular color version, even when I even watched seeing it for the film for the first time, there were a couple instances where I'm kind of like, I mean, that probably could have been touched up a little better, maybe, but I would say the Minus Color version, it does kind of help in hiding it, and plus it makes me think of like, this is pretty much like as much of a spiritual successor to the original 54 film as you're going to get with any Godzilla movie. Like, it just, it really, like, you really feel like you're watching like a modern like a 50s monster movie made for the modern era, like like the 1954 movie, if it was redone, with modern effects and what have you, but still maintaining the tone and as well as like not just the color tone, but obviously like the tone and the story and what have you, and arguably even in some ways like even improve in a couple aspects over the 54 film. But
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, I would say seeing the film again, for the re-release, it's like I've pretty much forgotten like how immensely like awesome, badass, but also like kind of frightening Godzilla's roar in -1 is. Like when you watch it at home or when you watch it like or pretty much even like listen to it like on clips on YouTube, you don't get the sense like it's nothing compared to like when you see it on the big screen. It's like you feel the roar, you feel it,
Yeah.
you feel it.
Yeah. The way the roar was done, like I straight up thought it was a technical issue the first time around, and then watching it 3 more times, no, this is not a technical issue. The roar is that powerful.
Yeah, like they want to get across that this roar is almost like deafening, like it pretty much would to the characters.
Yeah.
Like every time he roars, like it made me jump.
Yeah.
It's like
Yeah. When to me, this is the perfect Godzilla roar because not only is it's basically the 54 version with the power of the legendary roar. It
yeah,
sounds like it would come from a creature like Godzilla, a creature that was mutated and transformed and mutilated basically beyond recognition to the point where its vocal cords have been strained and scarred, but it's coming from an absolutely ginormous animal.
yeah, yeah, and like even before he gets mutated, like when he's basically like the proto form, let's just say, or
Mhm.
proto Godzilla form. Yeah, like yeah, like that scene is still like very impactful. Like it pretty much comes off like it's pretty much like this is like how like if anyone were to think like how would like what's like the best what would be like the best scene in a Jurassic Park movie since the original Jurassic Park, I would just be like fuck it, the Odo Island scene in -1. If I'm
Yeah,
being honest. Um,
yeah,
yeah, yeah, it makes me think of that, like the
yeah.
T Rex breakout, like just how for like just how terrifying it is, just kind of seeing this big, like just he's pretty much only like he's pretty much like twice the size of a T Rex potentially.
Yeah.
But
One thing I've been wanting to do is doing a short video asking what kind of dinosaur would Godzilla be classified as, specifically -1 Goji. I was thinking Spinosaur, and it's not just because of the spines.
hmm,
He's also piscivorous, semi-aquatic, um, and has a lot of fish-like attributes. Like,
yeah,
yeah, this is just an improved version on the Heisei Godzillasaurus in every way, shape, and or form.
yeah. Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, and like seeing like the screening that I caught, for the fourth time seeing it, second time for the minus color version, but just fourth time for the movie itself, just in general color or minus color.
Mhm.
Like there's like these like little like featurette things that's like a Q&A with Yamazaki and I think like another like person who he works with for the effects.
Mhm.
Um, like he pretty much kind of said that Godzilla was like obviously inspired by for him by he was inspired by dinosaurs pretty much, but also the scales for Godzilla, like Yamazaki pretty much said, were inspired by like aged oysters pretty much because you got like like the scales kind of look aquatic, but they're like aged a little bit. Like it's kind of like if you look at like oysters or clams or something, and like the older they get, the more like almost sort of rock-like they kind of look. And Minus Goji kind of has that sort of vibe to him, and it's like, yeah, I can see that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Antonio's asking, do you guys think Kong can beat Ghidorah?
Which one are we talking about?
Good question.
Which King Kong and which Ghidorah are we talking about?
Yeah, because if it's Monster vs. Kong versus Monster vs. Ghidorah, then hell no. No, he
not.
can't.
Absolutely not. Whereas if it's GMK Ghidorah versus Titanus Kong, I could see Kong pulling a win. Okay, if it's Monsterverse, Monsterverse. Absolutely not.
No, Monster vs. Ghidorah would Monster vs. Ghidorah nearly killed Godzilla. Like if Monster vs. Ghidorah can
Monster
nearly
vs. Ghidorah nearly killed Titanus Gojira twice during that fight.
Yeah.
And he was at a relatively similar power to where he fought Kong. Kong was for the most part on the back foot. Well, without the axe, he was on the back foot. And even then, Godzilla was slightly weakened. Ghidorah's not winning. Ghidorah is not losing this. Kong is screwed. For all intents and purposes, Kong is screwed.
Even if you give Kong his battle axe and you give him the beast glove, he's not gonna win.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't see on top of that, even if Kong were to cut like Ghidorah's head off, all Ghidorah has to do is just regrow another one. That's
yeah.
Let's not forget that. That's kind of a thing. Key thing.
He tanked a weapon arguably more dangerous than that of the hydrogen bomb.
Yeah, he tanked the oxygen destroyer. He was just so like it was like, what was that? Oh well, it took out my rival here. Oh well, well, sucks for you, buddy. Let me take over here.
He was, for the most part, unscathed. The only thing that happened was a decapitation, and that was before the damn thing hit.
Yeah, it wasn't even the thing. It was Godzilla just tearing his head off, pretty much. The oxygen destroyer, if anything, like stopped Godzilla from tearing any more heads off.
Yeah.
Or even drowning Ghidorah. Like he probably could. Like Godzilla probably could have drowned Ghidorah in the ocean.
He absolutely could have.
Yeah, I mean, if you notice, like Ghidorah was like gasping for breath at one point before Godzilla drags him back down. You know, like it's like I'm pretty sure Ghidorah can't survive underwater.
Yeah.
Yeah. Neat stuff.
We are 23 minutes into the stream and no one else has joined.
Yeah. I would say like I guess they kind of like to kind of discuss a little bit of like the filmmaking aspects of Minus One. It's like there's like because they did like a featurette of like for the film, well, there's like two parts. There's like one that's like before the film starts, and they were kind of like talking about how they put together the special effects, the CGI, what have you. And the second half was like the Q&A proper with Yamazaki. Like after the movie was over. The before parts where they're talking about the effects, it's like I had not realized how much CGI and green screen was actually used in this movie until they showed this featurette, because there's like several points where in the film where I wouldn't even until last night I had no idea it was CGI. Like there's kind of like I mean, there's points where it's like, okay, yeah, I can understand how that'd be CGI, but there's like sections like sections where Doc and Captain are like boarding one of the ships before they depart. Like there's like parts of the background there that were CGI, and I had no idea that was the case until it was pointed out. And I was like, that was CGI. Look, like wow, fooled me.
That's impressive.
Yeah, like it's like this movie still, like even pointing this out, it still looks way better as CGI than pretty much just about almost anything that we get these days. And that even includes certain Godzilla movies that we get these days.
Absolutely.
It's kind of nuts. It pretty much goes to show like how you let like this really solid team of people who have an idea of what they want to create, and you pretty much let them make it and make it the best that they can, and not do the whole MCU thing where we changed their mind and have them like redo something over again, and just rush it. This is what, that's kind of what it is.
Yeah. I mean, Yamazaki's been cooking this one since 2014 for basically a decade.
Yeah, he cooked. He took a long time, but man, oh man, he nailed it.
Yeah.
And apparently there was also a whole thing where the Shinden, which is the fighter jet that the fighter plane that Shikishima uses at the end. There's like this whole prop thing for the cockpit that's obviously real, but the rest of it is obviously would have to be CGI. So like apparently in this featurette, like Yamazaki said, like the prop had like a mechanism that was supposed to be meant for it to tilt as if it was like flying, pretty much, but it wasn't working properly. So they actually had to have the crew just tilt it by hand in order to simulate the flight. Which is which is that's like if technology fails, good old manpower. They'll do a trick. So it's pretty neat stuff.
Yeah. I think one of the big things that I praise about that, especially with the discussions of Shin Godzilla, is the final plan and the way they go about that.
I have a point about that.
Yeah.
Should we wait for other people? Should we wait for more people to come on there so we can really hash this out, or what do we just?
Oh, definitely. Let's wait for if a certain someone joins. Let's wait for that.
I want to wait. I want to wait for someone else because because even upon like the recent rewatch of Minus One in that theater, like when they are hashing out the details for Operation Watasumi, pretty much the drowning and decompression thing on Godzilla.
Yeah.
All I can think is like this still makes infinitely more sense than Operation Yashiori and Shin in just about every conceivable way. Even when in the film even has these characters acknowledged that it's like, hey, there's like there's pretty much potential hitches for us to consider pretty much. That it may not work.
It's not
guaranteed, but we got to try something here.
It's not 100% guarantee, and that's part of the tension.
Yeah,
especially considering the main character and what he's like, his life is also on the freaking line.
Yeah. It's like there isn't a very strong guarantee that the plan will work, but there is a chance. That's kind of the thing.
Yeah.
And in terms of just physics and what have you, obviously it makes so much more sense. And even when,
a part of me does want to do one of those comparison videos with Minus One, but not with Shin. Instead, a part of me wants to compare Minus One to GMK, just because I also rewatched GMK recently because Big Action Bill, he did a very good video going into the behind the scenes of GMK, that unironically made the movie so much better.
Wow.
Yeah, it's rewatching GMK, I absolutely noticed a lot of the Minus One influences. It's like there's some stuff that I noticed the first time around, but there's a lot more here that Minus One took than people actually realize.
Took from GMK?
Yeah. Yeah.
I would not be surprised by that.
Yeah, because Yamazaki showed GMK as an influence.
Yeah, and I'm not even saying that in a bad way, because like GMK is real. If there's any like of all the Godzilla movies to kind of take influence from to take cues from, GMK is a really good one to take cues from in a lot of areas. Yeah. Yeah. Even though this might not happen, but what are your guys' thoughts of if Anguirus was in the Minus One sequel? I could see. Yeah, I could see that. I would totally be down for that.
I would just be happy. My thought process when bringing back these monsters is anyone but the big four. I love the big four. I love Mothra. I love Rodan. I love Ghidorah. I love Mechagodzilla. Can we please give them a break?
Yeah.
The general public has already been introduced to them, and at least to me, they've all been done justice recently. Let's do someone else, please.
Yeah. It's like Mothra and Ghidorah and Rodan, they've all been done justice in King of the Monsters. I would Mechagodzilla and GVK. I would say Machinations. I mean, Machinations as a plot in GVK aside, I'd say Mechagodzilla was at least like they at least they at least were faithful to getting across the fact that Mechagodzilla is essentially like a very powerful Godzilla adversary that is literally like a robo doppelganger of Godzilla that is arguably more powerful than him if he were to. If circumstances were right.
Yeah, that's what I mean by done justice. And even if it wasn't, the general population has already been introduced to them.
Yeah.
So there you go.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of like the same sentiment where I can totally understand people, are pretty much hoping that the Batman Part 2 wouldn't just be another Batman versus Joker type of thing. Because
story,
yeah, because it's like, we know that the Joker is pretty much like the definitive villain. Like he's like the most iconic Batman villain of all time. He's pretty like without Joker, it would just be it'd be weird to have a Batman story without Joker being somewhere in the universe. But I mean we could, but it's like. It'd be nice to have like a Batman story that focuses on other villains entirely that haven't gotten the spotlight properly, which is why like it's great that the Batman, the first one, pretty much did the Riddler at least first.
As drastically different of a take as this Riddler was, the fact that he was used in the first place is a sigh of relief.
Yeah, and the fact that the Riddler was actually kind of frightening as far as a villain goes. Like even masked off, I would say. I know people make fun of Paul Dano's performance during the third of that movie, but it's like if you take it out of context, I guess sure maybe you could chuckle at it, but when he's going but when you're watching the scene, but once you get the context, it's like I don't see how this is funny. Like this is this is a really disturbed guy.
This is an insane man having a mental breakdown.
Yeah.
That's
pretty much.
Literally all this is. An insane man having a mental breakdown. It's not Paul Dano crying his ass off. It's an insane man doing insane.
Yeah. I guess if the performance didn't work for you, I don't know what then. If the performance made you chuckle at it, I don't know what to say. I'm not even sure. Alice says, I recently watched Godzilla 98 again, and I have to say it's still bad. Yeah.
Watch the nerd. Alice, what I have to say is watch the Nerd with the Suits video on Godzilla 1998. The reason I keep recommending that video, it is the complete antithesis. It is It is the complete antithesis to the Little Platoon's GXK critique. in every way, shape, and or form.
Hmm.
It's
Right.
really in depth. It's actually basically the entire mentality with that video is, why do people like this movie? Do the criticisms or praises of this film hold up under scrutiny? It's not analyzing it in the context of Godzilla or just on it. It's analyzing it on its own under what, and looking at the criticisms or praises to see if they apply. And even then, he ends the video by saying, this movie, the fact that this movie exists is a good thing because it gave the people who like this version.
Right. Yeah, it's not like attacking people for for pretty much wanting to support it. Pretty much, it's more of like like trying to figure out. It's like, okay, guys, I'm not. It's like it's pretty much like the opposite, where it's just like you're an idiot if you pretty much support this. But if you pretty much pay money for this, but it's kind of more of like a I pretty much get that why you guys like this. I'm trying to figure out why, or
I've heard the criticisms, and I'm wondering, does this hold up under scrutiny? I'm not trying to change your opinions. I just want to figure it out.
Yeah.
And it's really fucking good. He also spends like a third of the entire video discussing the scrapped concept in detail and actually pulling off a very good critique of it as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, for as much as I praise that, there are problems.
The scrapped Beyond the Bond version?
Yeah, Godzilla versus the Griffin. That one.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, for as much as I praise that one, there are problems.
Didn't that version like pitch originally that there was supposed to be like a fart joke involving Godzilla, or was it something else? If I think of something else entirely.
There was, I don't recall a fart joke. I do recall there was an Age of Extinction style scene. However, I wouldn't say it's as bad because it's one scene instead of the entire plot.
Oh, we got Kaiju on.
Lord Megatron has informed me it's time to talk about peak cinema.
Is it now? Is it now, Shockwave?
Yes, Starscream.
Minus one, superior. Just superior.
Yes, Sea Monster, join us.
Oh.
For some reason, I do a really good animated Shockwave voice.
Yeah,
that sounds good.
It's a
That's
Shockwave
awesome.
impression, period.
Yeah. Anyways, yeah. Sorry I'm late. Had to go take care of something. But now it's time to talk about my second favorite movie ever made.
Yeah.
I am overjoyed Yamazaki is coming back. It's all but guaranteed it's a -1 sequel now. will be shocked if it's not. And I am
Yeah. This man Yamazaki has basically become the Shusuke Kaneko now.
I would not go that far yet. We need to see what this man whips up.
We'll see.
But I'm very happy with this, and I'm happy that it seems as -1 is the film that single-handedly saved the Reiwa era for me.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Yeah. Well, you could just say it saved it because it desperately needed it.
Yeah.
It's the only good film in the Reiwa era.
It is.
Yeah. I have been backtracking a bit on some of my takes on Shin. That said, I still wouldn't call it as good as everyone says.
I still think it's bad.
Yeah, it's cool. Bad.
But we're not here to talk about that. We're here to talk about -1.
Well, okay, there might be a small discussion related to Shin if a certain someone shows up.
I mean, Shin might. I mean, we've already mentioned GMK. That's partially because, well, GMK, the original, and Shin were the films that Yamazaki just straight up said, yeah, I took inspiration from them.
Yeah, and then there were subtle hints of the MonsterVerse in there as well.
In like shot composition, yeah.
Yeah.
There's a very clear love for what the MonsterVerse is doing in this film.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
So I'm just wondering what we were talking about before I joined.
I was discussing the Nerd in the Suits Godzilla 98 video.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't even know where to begin with this film.
Oh,
Yeah,
man.
it's kind of one of those movies where even after you rewatch it, you're still just kind of like, oh yeah, that's right, I have to talk about it. Yeah, this movie, because you're like
what
pretty much
say
into like
about-
What can
euphoria.
you say about Minus One that hasn't already been said a billion times at this point?
Like it's been basically a year since the movie released. Practically everyone has said their piece on it.
Yeah.
What I will say is, I think this is like this film is at its core exactly what I think the Godzilla franchise is about. That just being the ever needing determination from both Godzilla and humanity to persevere.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, that's pretty apt.
Even when things feel crushingly horrible, even when like you've seemingly lost everything because the literal manifestation of your trauma is now going after you and everyone you care about, you still have to keep going. You still have something worth living for. And that's the core theme of this film, is to just keep living just because you're here.
Yeah.
This is the first film, and I feel a bit that actually honors a lot of the views Ishiro Honda had. And I don't agree with everything the guy said, but I agree with a lot of it, and he's still one of my favorite directors to ever come out of filmmaking.
Yeah.
But this film just felt like I don't want to be a Yamazaki just purist or whatever, but I feel like he got it. I feel like he gets it, what he was trying to be said.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, he pretty much. Yeah, he had a story idea. He pretty much had a vision. He executed it, and he executed it really well.
I mean, dude, like I said, dude's been planning this since 2014 for basically a decade. You've said it before, but this is his child.
Yeah, and I will keep using that belief because that is what this film felt like to me. This was not just, I think, a genuinely amazing film. This was a profound labor of love.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it absolutely is.
Yeah, I might see if I could check out some of his other work after the in the future, because I want to see what else he's cooked outside of the kaiju genre. I've heard he's done other. I've heard some of his other works is really good too.
Yeah. I will say, just given some context, you were talking about Yamazaki, right?
Yeah, Yamazaki.
And given just what I know, I feel like this film kind of redeems a bit of a misstep that he had with Space Battleship Yamato, if you know how that movie ends.
I don't.
Okay, well, for context, while I'm not a fan of him, I watched Kyodai Kino's video discussing Shin Godzilla's apparent nationalism, and he kind of goes into Space Battleship Yamato's ending, which is what certain detractors of Minus One like to pretend what Minus One was saying.
Mhm.
It was kind of that, and I think this film kind of redeems what Yamazaki was trying to do.
Yeah.
Trying to like, yeah, we did.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure I can guess at what those certain detractors you're referring to are, as we've discussed.
Yeah,
we've
you
discussed
you
him
know
multiple-
exactly who I'm talking about.
Just a refresher. Who are we talking about here? So,
Joseph,
um,
the guy
Joseph.
who got absolutely pummeled by King of Kandor on stream, and one of the guys discussed on Zim's versatility of Godzilla stream. He did a response video to Rooney back in the day. Multiple, actually.
Yeah, I might need a refresher on. I'll need to have a refresher on that, but yeah.
Yeah, I checked his channel. He didn't delete the Godzilla videos. He unlisted them. There's a playlist. There's a playlist on his channel with all of that.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Also,
I will say keep that in mind. What?
Antonio has a question for you in the chat.
Hang on, I need to check. It didn't come up, so give me just a second. I'll check the chat in just a minute. Have you watched the Supercharged Evolve? Your ass, bro. Slick is my goat. I've been a fan of his since his versus Destroyer videos. I was there when it was just 2 parts.
I was there when it was just 1.
I was there. I was hyped for part 2. I remember when that was the tits.
Yeah.
You merely adopted the slick. I was born in it, molded by it. Yes, I disagree with that video's outcome, but it was still pretty funny. I was honestly just expecting the both of them to just wind up bullying Scar King by the end. That's what I wish happened.
Yeah, honestly, that's what I thought was going to happen at some point. They just nuke him at the end. Just he's just bones. Just
yeah. But we ain't here to talk about. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I've said my piece about the video, so yeah, pretty neat.
Yeah, so have I.
I am just again overjoyed that this film turned out as I was going into this film very anxious.
Yeah.
I was very concerned going into -1 because before I really started to figure out my stance on the Godzilla franchise, I decided, because I kind of went through a bit of a dry period with the franchise after GVK. That wasn't because I hated the film. I just was like, okay. I feel like I'm kind of wanting to look into other things right now, so.
Yeah.
But -1 was starting to catch my attention. I thought it looked to be interesting. I decided to watch the original and Shin in preparation for it as a double feature one night. That double feature made me remember why I love the original film and why I still am kind of torn on whether or not Gojira is better than -1. Like, it is so close in my mind. That was when I started to look into Shin and realize shit isn't right. But
yeah, that boy ain't right.
But so I went into -1 very anxious, just hoping, please take the right parts from Gojira. Please know what you're doing.
Yeah.
I went in with one other friend, and the literal second after the first scene on Odo Island, I was sold.
Yeah.
I was like, whoever the Yamazaki, you nailed it. You got it.
Yeah.
And then he just continued to just knock it out of the park with the human characters who were the most invested. This is the film that kind of made me remember, oh, right. I just start examining these films with the human cast in mind. I don't think this is the first film to have great human characters, but they are so lovable.
Yeah, it pretty much even though I mean we definitely cover Godzilla movies that have really solid human characters pretty much, and
King of
it's
the
kind of
Monsters.
it's kind of a shame that a lot of people kind of just seem to think that Godzilla movies have never had had compelling human characters until Minus One happened, which is why we're here to
Terror of
remind them
Godzilla would beg to differ.
Terror of Mechagodzilla, the original Gojira, I would say versus Ebra has a decent cast.
Versus Ebra, I will ride that movies. I will defend that film to the end of my days. Ebra is a goat.
Same.
Bro, not
like the Heisei cast, especially versus Destroyer, I think had a really solid cast.
98 has freaking Jean Reno and Hank Azaria.
There you go. GMK is one of the most overlooked human casts in the entire genre, and that is a downright disrespect because there is a lot of good stuff here.
That's why GMK is pretty much the first Godzilla movie that I've even covered on Sea Monster Essays, because I was like, what would be like a good starting point for me to do my essay video type of thing on GMK? Yeah, that could work. And yeah, there's a lot to say about it.
I also think that aside from Akane, the rest of the core cast of Against Mechagodzilla it just helps to enhance her story. I think the father character isn't as weird as some people seem to act like he is.
Yeah.
And even but after that, then good human characters they are not hard to come by in these films if you just use your eyes.
Yeah, if you
the goddamn film.
Yeah, if you pretty much watch, actually sit down and watch them and just kind of let it wash over you and let it tell you the story as opposed to just ridiculing it, over a bunch of beers ASAP.
What we're saying is, don't be like Rags.
There you go. In other words, stop saying Mothra went from South America to China, you imbecile.
You are never recovering from that.
Absolutely not.
Oh boy.
That's like it's like my current world is like Shikishima, pretty much, just with PTSD.
Very much.
And just like that, we're finally back on topic. We mentioned Shikishima, so you know what? He's my next talking point. This guy is perfect. The second I started to figure out, oh wait, I was kind of surprised that they went. I knew this was going to be a period piece, but it didn't register in my mind. Oh, he's ex-military. He was a kamikaze pilot. Oh shit!
Oh.
The scene, the opening to the film with him landing. I was like, wait, I thought this was going to be the bomb that drops on Hiroshima or something, but no, it was Shikishima trying to get out of killing himself.
Yeah.
And then immediately his dynamic with Tachibana, who is another perfect character in this film. I think every single character in this film is executed perfectly.
Yeah.
With Shikishima just not wanting to go through with taking his own life for what is a losing battle. But everyone else, every other soldier around him has already bought into this belief, still like believes it, that them dying is gonna get them to win the war. And to a certain extent, he still believes that, but his just basic self-preservation of I don't want to die kicks in.
Yeah.
And he's ridiculed throughout the entire film to the point that he believes then that he isn't supposed to be alive.
Well, here's the thing. There was even like one of the guys on Odo Island even like stops over to talk with him for a bit. And he's all like, "Yeah, I don't blame you, dude. I mean, what's the point of dying honorably if we all know how this is all going to end?" It's a it's a pretty neat moment.
Once you like remember in this time period, it was like the greatest dishonor was to surrender, and the greatest honor was to fight to the bitter end. It's like, yeah, it makes sense. This is how it is, but it goes directly against one of the basic human instincts to keep themselves alive.
Not just human instincts, but like animal instincts, period. Every single animal has some semblance of self-preservation in any way, shape, or form. To tell that animal to die is against said self-preservation.
It's pretty much it is a huge ask, pretty much. And obviously that organism, human or animal, what have you, would be very much desensitized, about that. If it's kind of comes to the realization of like, not only does it have something that it wants to like come back home to, because Shikishima had his parents, and the letter that they sent him was like, please come back home a lot safe, and but also the fact that it's like, it's a losing, they're pretty much losing the war anyways. It's like, so it's just kind of like, it's not that I don't want to die for my country. I mean, like, yeah, it's because I'm scared, but really it's just like, I don't know. Like, I think there's people who are going to want me alive more than dead at this point.
Yeah. I mean, that is true. And then Shikishima then just gets the lion's share of this film, but everyone else in this, even all of the minor characters, the side characters, are all just so lovable as well. It's very clear. Shikishima's like, because this is what I grasp in the film, is that, yeah, shit sucks right now, but you want to know why you keep pushing forward and get through it? It's because there are people in your life that care about you. And Shikishima let's just be real, has a loving wife, a child, and bunch of friends.
Three really good friends.
3 absolute doofuses that I've said it before, I would listen to those like 4 on a boat ramble for hours.
Yeah.
You would have my attention the entire time because they are so amusing. They are so it comes off as it just comes off as real. This is how these people recovering from a war would be talking.
Oh, we got another guest coming on here, coming up with the steel chair. It is the Roni.
Heyo! I was waiting for you.
Have you joined us to talk about peak cinema?
Yeah.
You missed it.
Nice.
Yeah, we were just
I
talking
forgot
about
this was happening.
Yeah, we were just talking about Shikishima's character.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, Shikishima. Mm-hmm. I'm gonna be honest. I tried to watch Godzilla Minus One again as soon as I got my PC, but I didn't have time to finish it because drill sergeants were yelling at me. So.
Is your mic all right? Because you're like kind of roboting.
Me? Oh shit! Yeah. Fuck. I'm using earbuds because I was trying to set up my headset and it broke. So.
That would explain it.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, there's only really one character in the kaiju genre that I would say I like more than Shikishima, and that's Ayana Hidasaka from Gamera 3. Really just because I found her character arc to be just as, and a slightly bit more compelling than Shikishima, but even then, it is really close. It's just because throughout the story, it's what the hell do you even say to this? What the hell do you even say to this? It is absolute. It's perfectly well paced with his dynamic with every single character feeling incredibly natural.
Yeah.
That's not even getting into Akiko, who is the cutest little thing ever.
She broke me twice.
She broke me.
Yeah. Yeah. Like what makes what first makes the whole story with Shikishima like really well done is him like trying to like find a way to kind of like live on and and maybe potentially like try to redeem like whatever happened on Odo Island by pretty much just trying to move forward, like just kind of even with the PTSD in mind, but then the whole thing with Ginza, what have you, like just essentially cutting that off from him, especially after Noriko seemingly dies, pretty much. Like this person who was kind of sort of was starting to become a bastion for him to try to move on. She gets cut off, and he goes from being guilt ridden, and all that, to just kind of filled with rage, where all he could do as Godzilla walks away, leaving a path of destruction, is just kind of just scream and just
that scream to this day. Wow.
Yeah, it's haunting.
I don't remember the name of the actor for Shikishima, but I'm just wondering what kind of baggage did he have to dig up to scream like that?
You don't just make up a scream like that on the spot. You don't just drop it. You have to force something like that out. And it takes a lot of effort to pull something off like that.
Yeah, Shikishima goes from.
No, wait till the drill sergeant tells you to sound off. You're going to sound off just like that.
Yeah, like Shikishima. Yeah, like Shikishima goes from pretty much wanting to die because he feels like he feels like he shouldn't be alive. Like he should have like he pretty much should have died on that island along with the rest of those guys. Or the fact that he should have died because it would have been like if he died, he pretty much would have died for his country and all that, and he wouldn't have left like so much death behind as a result of him failing to stop Godzilla, to shoot Godzilla on Odo Island, to wanting to die so that he could right that wrong, essentially, because that wrong has kind of come back to haunt him and start threatening everything that he's cared about to a much greater extent than he could have even imagined. And so then, which really works out when he pretty much, how do I put it? And then he pretty much realizes that he has stuff to live for, friends, Akiko, what have you. And Tachibana, and when Tachibana points out that he has an ejection mechanism in the Shinden, he's all like, "Oh my god!"
The man who literally hated me for trying to live is now telling me. I feel like this is just my thoughts on Tachibana. I really like that he has the same name as the Admiral from GMK, who is one of the best characters in the franchise.
Yes.
I forgot about that.
But I feel like that moment he realizes, oh, he's like actually wanting to go through with this now. This isn't someone. I imagine that kind of made Tachibana think a little bit, and he's like, I'm not letting this guy die. I'm not letting him die. Because Tachibana finally gets it, And then he tells Shikishima, I am ordering you to come back from this alive. And that must have been what made Shikishima be like, I have to do this now. Like that made him realize the person who literally hated me is telling me to come back from this alive. And
Yeah.
for me, I was expecting Godzilla to die in the climax of -1. The tension of this was not the tension is if they beat Godzilla. The question, the tension that comes from the climax of -1 is not, well, are they going to beat Godzilla? It's, is Shikishima going to kill himself?
Is Shikishima going to go down with him?
And that's the tension. And that's why seeing his seat in the parachute in the air is so relieving. The relief that Tachibana has on his face is pretty much everyone's.
Pretty much, yeah. And Shikishima, choosing to fight to live, to fight to live for people worth living for. It pretty much makes it a lot more impactful when he's essentially kind of rewarded at the end. When he finds out that Noriko, the person whom he was willing to die for, was alive the whole time.
Yeah,
it's also funny to think about that Noriko was actually the first person that told Shikishima that she forbids him to die. By the way, I'm watching the scene as it's happening right now, and also I think it's very funny to think about that. These people had the change that they did, because at first, right, it was seen as quite honorable and quite honorable to die for your country. The thing is, though, there are little nuances that the film really helped to expose well and get it out of the way quickly. There was this one character at the very beginning of the movie in the scene with Odo Island, where he was like, "Yeah, I know you bailed out of your mission, but I don't really blame you because we already lost. So there's really no point in dying for an already lost cause." But everybody didn't know. Everybody else, people like the neighbor, I forgot her name, the
Sumiko.
Yeah, Sumiko. She doesn't really know what the situation was or what was happening, or they just she just knows that they lost the war and people died. That's all she knows. Because she's a civilian, there's no possible way she could know any other details that someone like Shikishima or his battle buddies, fuck, I'm using military terms, she wouldn't know the stuff that they know.
You could use military terms. It's applicable in this scenario.
Yeah, that's true. But yeah, no, Shikishima really is the only person in his family circle who really knows what's going on, and other soldiers could probably relate to him a lot better than the citizens, because the citizens, to my knowledge, were still under certain impressions. So it would only, but at the same time, I like to believe that maybe deep down, the Japanese people, at least specifically people like Noriko, only believed what they believed because the government told them, "Hey, this is what you should be doing."
Literally indoctrination.
And shut down their cognitive thinking to really assess the situation logically. Like, okay, well, the war is over. Is there really a point to killing yourself for it? And if my neighbor, a loved one, comes back from this war that I don't, because war is bad. If this one neighbor of mine that I love or cherish or whatever comes back, I should probably not be so upset about it.
And
but part of it is also like Sumiko lost her children in the fire bombings.
Yeah,
that's true. That's true. So with the limited information that she has, she can only assume that because Shikishima fled from duty, that led to the death of her children, because he doesn't know in what situation. Because for all we know, Shikishima probably wasn't even deployed until much, much later. So that's for all we know, because we're not really given all the information regarding Shikishima's state in the military, but we don't really need to know, because this doesn't really negatively affect the story. It only leaves room for interpretation, which is probably for the best, considering that the story plays out about as logically as you could, about realistically as you could. There's no. This
And about
is
as well as it could.
yeah. This is. I just think it's something to think about. That hey, maybe the reason why Sumiko initially hated Shikishima was both half indoctrination and the other half just what's it called? A
Needing to
knee-jerk
have
reaction to her
also
children.
feel a place to like channel her frustrations and just grief.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
she has it the worst too because she lost her kids. There's a completely different thing. One thing is losing your parents, and a completely different thing is losing your kids. No, there's no word for a person that
I'm
loses
gonna
their children.
quote God of War here. The death of a child is not something a parent easily gets over.
Exactly.
Exactly.
Like
Yeah.
you can get over being an orphan, right? You can always just train with a bunch of ninjas around the world and create a suit that beat up poor people in the streets. That's how you.
Are you?
That's
That
how.
What
or
are
you
you
could go
referencing
absolutely
here?
insane and try to flood a city.
Mm-hmm. Or like just trying to stop an incel from flooding the city. That's true. Or you can just get raised by your aunt and start kicking insane people in the face with spider powers. But losing a child, there's really nothing. Like, how do you cope with it? How do you?
Yeah.
There's not
I
a whole
just
lot
had-
you could do.
I just had a weird thought by comparing Sumiko. Sumiko is basically the same thing as Mark Russell. That's a weird thought I had.
Kind of, but at the same time, she also had a second chance at because she did say at one point in the movie that I finally raised 3 kids, so even if her own kids won't make it,
Someone else's will because of her.
exactly, and that child will flourish in the world, which is the whole point of a parent, is to raise your kid to flourish in this world, become successful, become their own person, and have agency and all that. And the fact that Sumiko had taken part in helping one more child, reach that state and carry on the family legacy, so to speak, that I think patches the wound a little bit. Which I think it's it's a small character arc. It's not. I don't think many people would probably notice, but I personally think it's subtle and possibly the best kind of character arc you could have in this situation, especially during wartime.
Yeah.
Also, off
Yeah,
topic. The right now, because I'm watching the movie right now. There's a scene that was playing during the montage where we get to see Akiko's drawing. I just want to say, Akiko's drawing fucking sucks, dude. Someone should send her to art school.
Leave that little guy alone.
It's a 2-year-old.
1-year-old.
Leave her alone.
That doesn't even look like Shikishima. That just looks like 2 dots in a line.
Leave her alone.
She's killing you in the sun.
Oh God. It can't be a C-Monster live stream without some edgy joke in there.
Hopefully, she doesn't fail art school. Otherwise, we're gonna have another Shikishima.
Or worse.
Oh no!
Lord Megatron, he's making an edgy joke.
I am aware, Shockwave.
Do we need to get?
Hey, who knows? We might even have another Godzilla
anymore.
Oh well.
Also, Rooney, I'm pretty sure I can guess how you feel about Yamazaki coming back.
How? What do you mean?
Pretty ecstatic.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. I'm just praying. I am on my knees begging. Please, movie, do not suck.
What do you think? He stated that he wants to do a remake of Godzilla versus Hedorah.
Well, something closer to he wants to, which
he stated he wants to use Hedorah.
Yeah, which I am all for. Hedorah's one of them. Well, yes, Rooney. Sorry.
Oh no, go ahead.
I was just saying, yeah, just give. I think Hedorah is one of the most interesting monsters in the series. It's just a case that her debut film fucking sucks.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm a little hesitant. I started thinking about it, and I think it could work, but I'm a little hesitant. So I'll just see what he
I mean, it
decides
all
to do.
depends on execution.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's like I said earlier. It's like, I mean, with Yamazaki pretty much coming back to do this, like whatever he does with this sequel, I will say, I can definitely say he won't. He surely will not be able to pull a Todd Phillips on us, like what happened with Joker. Like
Oh,
he would
absolutely.
not.
Oh no! Oh no! Are you telling? No, no! Why'd you put that idea in my head? I don't want to see Godzilla get raped. What the fuck is wrong with you?
No! No! Absolutely not! You did not just drop that!
Stop screaming, Megatron! Lord Megatron, go get the ball crushing machine.
Oh no! It turns into a musical, which is just
No. What would a Godzilla musical even be like?
I have
I
no
don't
idea.
Mm.
I'm curious now, though.
I want to see what that would be like just to see. I just. Ugh. Don't put that thought in my head that this is going to be a Joker 2 situation.
Please
Henry
don't.
Cavill's just gonna show up. Y'all seen the AI image of Henry Cavill and Godzilla? It's gonna be the reverse of that.
Put that back.
wait.
Go back in time, like 30 seconds.
I don't actively seek out that kind of stuff. That's just AI.
But a lot of people also
Um,
want Anguirus for the sequel, and I would not mind that at all.
I want them to just try, and because I think I'm a defender of Raids Again. I think it's one of the most interesting films in concept and even in atmosphere in the franchise. It just kind of has a lot of junk in the trunk as well. But
not the good
I
kind of
think-
junk in the trunk.
yeah, not the good kind. But there could have been, it could have been way better. But there is also a lot to like with Raids Again. I think it can genuinely feel unsettling at times, which was surprising. And this, I think, going at it with the concept again, having Ace family trapped in the middle of a big monster fight would be super interesting. Kind of like with what 2014 was trying to do, but this time the characters are not cardboard cutouts.
Or military personnel.
Yeah.
Nothing against military personnel, but civilians. Something like a Cloverfield scenario.
Yeah.
Except Clover is fighting another monster this time.
Yeah.
Oh, don't worry, I'm not offended. I'm not even listening.
That's
I will
Rooney's
say-
before he has the coordinates to your house.
Oh yeah, don't worry. I'm a missile.
Uh,
Order. Shoot a missile if I want to. I shoot a missile in your house. I got security clearance too. If I wanted to, I could just blow up your house.
Absolutely fucking not.
Or am I?
I was like rewatching Cloverfield like back in like a couple days ago, like October 31st, and like before, it's like right before like the monster attack happens, where the brother's like telling Rob like I'm not saying you feel like you're not good enough for Beth. You're not good enough for her. That's it. That's fact. That's science. And I just put a comment saying that's objective. That was funny. That was a side thing. Oh, Black and Rooney. Antonio has a question for you. Where do you rank -1 Goji in terms of best to worst Goji in terms of writing?
At the very top.
I believe it's
Yeah.
Like it's
Yeah.
not even a competition at this. It is at the very top.
Yeah. Design wise, this is basically this is a near perfect update to the Heisei look.
You know what I don't like about this movie though?
What?
It's the ending. I like the ending. Don't get me wrong. I love the ending. I think it's very heartwarming. But I also think that they should have just committed to Noriko being dead. I mean, unless they're trying to do something with her in regards to like the fact that she's gonna turn into a
The
monster.
thing is, it works thematically that Noriko survives because because it's a reward that Shikishima gets
I'm
by
not really
overcoming
like
his
thinking
trauma.
of it like
Yeah,
a
that's why I'm so
reward.
conflicted about it. That's exactly why I'm so conflicted about it because
I don't really like to think of it as a reward. I just think it kind of. I think my thought process is it's kind of refreshing to, at the end of the day, even though everything sucks, it's like
It's
it just kind of felt refreshing that in the end no one had to die.
Yeah. And then there's like that last little like almost like sort of like a little period there where you got the mark on her neck that clearly looks like something that clearly means has something related to Godzilla, or at least it would have to be, and it would be like it's sort of like a thing of like Godzilla may be defeated, but he ain't gone. The scars that he leaves behind on people, they're gonna be around forever, and sometimes those scars are probably gonna be necessary for people to live.
Scars take way longer to heal than normal bruises.
I guess you could say that Minus Goji is the Scar King.
Oh my god.
Wait, what did he say? What did he say?
I will force Jesus to take you by hand.
I said, I guess you could say that Godzilla is a Scar King.
Because he leaves.
Because he leaves scars and he's the king of the monsters.
Bomb in your house. Bomb in your house.
Wait. What are you doing? Get away from me.
Nope.
Get in.
I was having a good day. All right,
Man's trying to watch -1 and his man's trying to watch -1 here. Don't remind him. Don't remind him of that. Yeah. Now, as far as like, yeah, I would say like one thing about it, like there is like the line where Shikishima kind of says, you know, right as Godzilla's like charging his atomic breath, he pretty much says, "This is the same as before." It's like it's pretty much a really profound thing, a little bit in line in terms of like, not like obviously we know it's like, oh yeah, this is pretty much like what happened on Odo Island, except it's like much bigger. But it could also be metaphorically in a meta sense, like Godzilla kind of, because he was like the result of nuclear weapons, nuclear tests, and all that. Like the very same kind of weapon that devastated Hiroshima and Nagasaki, Godzilla's kind of pulling another Hiroshima and Nagasaki, pretty much.
Yeah. As well as that, he's also probably calling back to the Takao, because it's entirely possible he knows what that was, or at least can guess.
Yeah, he's pretty much. It's like that trauma is just like he's seen like his PTSD is just like personified, you know, like in front of him, and now that PTSD, the thing that caused him this trauma is now just it's gonna destroy. It's pretty much destroying everything, and it's in one foul swoop.
I mean,
and
I would think I would see Godzilla more as like the Grim Reaper, the way Shikishima would see it, because like Shikishima, you know, he thinks he's supposed to die because he always keeps surviving. He always escaping death, and funny enough, he's always escaping Godzilla. But the way he kind of yearns for death, almost as if he's. I don't know if this makes sense. It's gonna sound like a complete ramble. But if we're going from a purely thematic perspective, I think Godzilla being the Grim Reaper kind of sort of makes sense. However, actually no, now that I think about it, because then Godzilla doesn't kill him. But then he survives. Oh wait, no, that doesn't make sense. Fuck, never mind. I'm tripping balls. I haven't slept. I need sleep. But yeah, no, he keeps escaping death and he keeps escaping Godzilla. but he yearns for death because he feels like he deserves it, and he throws himself at danger and escapes death every single time he throws himself in danger. So I think, in a way, if you could like really stretch out your brain to and use some intense mental gymnastics to come up with a thematic through line explaining why Godzilla could be the Green Reaper in this movie, I guess you could say that Shikishima is pretty much doing this to himself.
Mhm.
Like he is just so self-loathing. He will put himself in situations where he's going to end up feeling guilty later as a punishment. So it could be that the actual feeling of guilt is the punishment as opposed to death
Mhm.
itself. Like the feeling
Yeah.
that
I mean,
you
yeah.
die is enough of a punishment, but he won't like really commit to the actual dying part because he's constantly trying to escape death at every turn, and he is constantly trying to escape Godzilla at every turn.
Yeah. Yeah, I can see that. I mean, it pretty much that doesn't that wouldn't take as much. I mean, you kind of say it would take some mental gymnastics, all that. Probably not as much. Like I can actually see that.
Okay, well then it's
Yeah,
probably
that
just
could.
me. Then. Probably just me. My brain is not working at 100% efficiency. I need sleep.
I mean, you sound like you need sleep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um. Yeah. Oh man. I think we've talked a lot about the human. We haven't really gotten to the other three human characters.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Doc,
There's the
Captain, and Kid.
Doc, the Noda, Captain, and Mizushima. I don't remember what the captain's real name was, but
I don't even know if he's ever given an actual name in the
he
film.
is. He is.
He is.
It's said
It's just
when
that people just remember him as the Doc and the Kid and the Captain.
Doc,
Yeah.
Kid, and Captain, but
Yeah.
the only one that I remember is the kid whose real name is like Misashima.
Yeah. The
I
Doc
like
is
the Kid.
Noda.
I like the Kid. But I like that he um has this really bubbly personality. It's kind of he kind of behaves like some of the people here in my platoon, where they're just eager to go to war and eager to like defend his country. Uh, and he's kind of goofy about it as well. Like he kind of doesn't take it seriously. He just sees it like a competition as opposed to a fight to the death. Until he meets Godzilla. But that only just fuels his desire.
Yeah. Meanwhile, the other three on the boat know exactly what war is like, and it provides a really interesting contrast.
Yeah.
And also, I just to go into like his because and once again, I'm just getting into why I think Yamazaki understood what Ishiro Honda was getting at with the original, like the first, like around like 6 films of the Showa era, with like honoring sort of these pacifistic anti-war views, where I think it's either Doc or Captain that tells Misashima that not ever gone to war is something you should be proud of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
hmm I wonder
Yeah.
what an American perspective would be like. I wonder what Americans would think of that because I find it really interesting. The Japanese saying this because one could imagine that there were some like a whole bunch of people who opposed both the war and the politics of the government. Because if you remember your world history, you would know that Japan sided with Adolf Hitler. So
Yeah.
it would be really interesting. It's rather interesting that to hear this side of the argument be like them going like, oh, war is bad, I don't like war, we should stop fighting each other. But
Mhm.
what would an American soldier think of these soldiers being opposed to the idea of war when they are helping their government? It's kind of like it's similar to the conflict that I had because there's a lot of stuff I don't agree with for that my government perpetuates, and yet I'm pretty much fighting for it right? So what does that make them, and what does that make me? I've had that conflict. I mean, I've talked to my chaplain about it. He did not provide a whole lot of useful answers. I'll tell you that much. But
Hmm.
but that is something that is noteworthy. I think that
Hmm.
that
Mhm.
each perspective, coupled with who you're fighting for and who you're supporting, like the conflict between who you're supporting with your actions and your beliefs, your ideologies, that clashing together. I wonder how that combination, that tumult, would clash with somebody of opposite views, like
Mhm.
the Americans, because the Americans and Japanese didn't really have all similar views. That's why they got nuked.
Yeah,
So
twice.
twice.
Yeah.
They
I think
destroyed
We
a few of
attacked
our
the
boats.
ship.
We
They
dropped
dropped
the
the
sun
sun
on
on
them
us
twice.
twice.
Mhm.
Oh, we said that at the same time. Shit. Let's go.
I said
Uh,
they destroyed a few of our boats. We dropped the sun on them twice.
Yeah, that's what I said. That's what I was saying. I was quoting
Oh,
Russian Badger.
hey.
Yay.
nice.
Ayo.
Yeah. Honestly, Rooney, I think from your perspective, it's interesting with minus one, considering you are a part of a military. So yeah.
Mm,
So even if
yeah.
it's not the same military, I'd still think it's an interesting point of view. But yeah, I think, like, yeah. What else is there to say about this movie?
Mm,
Yeah.
I think okay. I have something to say. Uh, I guess the soundtrack, for one, uh, I think they probably shouldn't have made it as ambient as they did. Not to say that it's necessarily a bad thing, but there should have been more common leitmotifs. I'm not a music expert, so my language of music
Like
is going to be
more,
really, really stilted.
like more general, something of a similar approach to what GMK or Cottam did.
Yeah, pretty much. Because Godzilla has his theme and several variations of his theme. Uh,
Yeah.
and
This is not a
Ghidorah.
theme. This is not an OST. I'm gonna be like going out of my way to listen to. But you know what? That's fine because I think it ultimately enhances, like, it ultimately just makes the entire film better
Yeah.
whenever I'm watching it. I'm not heartbroken that I'm like, don't really want to listen to these by themselves, because there's also a lot of good music that I have been introduced to from a certain game that Minecraft World will not hear me shut up about, that has been very, very good in the music department.
Mm.
Mm.
Because the thing is, like, you know how King of the Monster, you got the King Ghidorah theme, you got the that one, and then
Yeah.
Mothra has her theme, and I was hoping for each character to have their own little theme or like an overarching theme for the soundtrack for the score, and Godzilla can have both his main theme and then several variations of Divine and the other track that I forgot the name of, but it's pretty much the exact same as Divine. Y'all know what I'm talking about.
Unscathed?
I think it might be Unscathed.
Yeah, it's unscathed.
Unscathed is like the atomic breath theme that's a bit more menacing because the Godzilla at this point has just gone completely unhinged.
Yeah. So, yeah, I think that should have had a little bit more variations. That was probably the best theme you could come up with for Godzilla. That wasn't the original.
Yeah, I
Divine,
think
I've
speaking of the
described atomic breath. You go first, Minecraft World.
speaking of the reuse tracks, I think the way they were handled was really well done, considering
Yeah.
like the Ginza attack. That's Godzilla's theme, and that's meant to be. We talked about this during I think it was the Cinemassacre Shin Godzilla discussion, where we talked about Cinemassacre's Shin review. I mentioned the reused songs were not just used when Godzilla was walking to a place; they actually had reason to be there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not saying that necessarily bad. I'm just saying that I wish we got more of it. You know what I mean? I wish we got like and more variations of that same thing. So we
Something
have like different versions of the same thing.
it might have been a little cheesy. It might not have worked, but I'm curious to see what would have happened if they had a sort of redone version of the military march whenever Mizushima and the tugboats show up to help.
I don't know. I honestly, I kind of think that the ambient soundtrack for this movie pretty much works
Yeah, the ambient
rather well.
works so much better than if it was just a full blown OST.
Yeah, like I mean, there's a lot of I mean, sorry, I would like the scene where Godzilla's pursuing the boat, out in the water. Like the soundtrack that they chose for that, like while it is pretty, ambient, it's not booming or anything like that. It fits like a lot, just honestly a lot more because of like how just to like really lend to like the suspense of like just like this big, really very scary creature just like chasing after them, and it's like just getting closer and closer and closer to them.
Yeah,
like this big looming threat that's like just right on their tail.
Yeah, I remember when the movie first released and everyone was talking about the OST and comparing it to King of the Monsters. The thing is, like, with the more bombastic, both Cottom and Minus One are doing very different things. So the OSTs have to be done in a very different way. Minus One is taking itself, relatively speaking, a lot more seriously than King of the Monsters. And as such, and doesn't have as much monster material as King of the Monsters. As such, it's not going to be anywhere near as bombastic. And the OST being a lot more ambient, while yes, it's not the most listenable on its own, I think is a worthy sacrifice by making the movie better.
I think you can have both. You can have both. That's my catchphrase. Huh? No, you can't. I think.
You can have both, but which one would? But here's the thing: it's just a matter of like, which one would sound kind of better for the scene? Like that's kind of the main.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. I think it could work for the scene. Of course, depends on how you do it because, and this is going to be an outlandish example. It's going to be super outlandish. The best example I can think of is probably Batman v Superman. The score for that movie. Like I know Batman v Superman is widely reviled and rightfully so, although I think
I was going to compare it to Transformers 1.
Oh, that works too. But I was thinking because the track for that one in particular, for BBS, the track for that one, it's a remixed version of the original MOS theme. And it's basically, if you've listened to like the track Day of the Dead, you'll see what I mean. It's made more somber purposefully because Clark is feeling down, and so I think using the BVS approach for the OST would probably benefit the score if you're trying to achieve this sense of melancholy for the scene. And I mean, it really depends on which scene you're trying to use, but the BVS approach I think could probably work a little bit for this film. I think if you play Day of the Dead over the scene post the Ginza attack, you could probably have a similar effect of like tragedy or even Beautiful. No, not Beautiful Lie. Not Beautiful Lie. What was this track? Because Beautiful Lie is like a montage, the opening montage of BVS. It'll come to me, but Day of the Dead, you could probably place it over, that scene after the Ginza attack, and it'll have the exact same effect.
Yeah, I was gonna say I was gonna compare it to something like The Fall from Transformers 1
yes, that's true.
Yeah, when spoilers for TF1 if you haven't seen it.
Go watch it right now. This is your daily go watch TF1.
Yeah, make that Twitter guy happy.
Please do that.
Real.
But basically, when that happens, it's a very powerful sequence. And hell, this was actually pointed out to me by someone else who did their own remix of that track. The death of Optimus Prime is in there. The song from the '86 film where that plays when Optimus Prime is dying is in that scene. But
Something else, the little thing that plays right before like Megatron drops Orion at this point. That is a very similar to -1, a very droning, very ambient sounding piece.
Oh, you
Yeah,
mean?
like, yeah.
Are you
I
talking
mean, like,
about like the synth?
Like
yeah,
the little like
yes,
yeah, the weird like droning synth sounds that are playing
Yeah.
right before
yeah.
Megatron.
That's like building up. That's building
As-
up to when D16's eyes turn red.
Yeah, that and then
Yeah.
he just says, "I'm done saving you." And dude, the behind the scenes stuff, Brian Tyree Henry is killing it.
this is the
Honestly,
same guy who did
I
the score
think
for
that's just
Transformers
more so
Prime and the
build up
Mario
then.
movie.
I was thinking that was just like more so build up for the rest of the track as opposed to just.
Well, it's not on like whenever you like look up the fall, it's not on there. It's not part of the song, so it's like
It isn't?
its own piece.
No, it isn't.
Oh, I didn't know that. Because
Yeah,
I
It
look
should
up
have
the.
been.
I think if you look up the unreleased soundtrack, you might be able to find it though.
Maybe.
Probably.
Why would that not be on there? Why would that be unreleased? That's kind of like a key part of it.
I don't know. I really don't know because sometimes movies have the film version of the OST and then
a completely
they'll
different,
just release
a
the
completely
similar
different
version.
OST.
They did the exact same thing with Dune Part 2.
They
where
did the same thing with
hardcore-
with GVK as well.
Yeah, with they didn't release the intro track for GVK, which I actually did like. But and in Doom Part 2, the Harkonnen arena track is very different in the movie, but it's much better. Like the released version is much better, but it's very different in the movie compared to the actual released track.
Yeah.
And there's this one track in the first Dune movie where it's just a guy. It's a melody that's never heard. It's never heard in the two Dune movies before, and it's never heard from again. It's just a guy praying over a montage of people praying. It's like, and that's not in the actual track, the soundtrack. It's in the unreleased soundtrack. If you go look for it, you might be able to find it. But yeah, like that. Sometimes people in the studio do that. Sometimes when releasing soundtracks, that just happens.
Yeah, it's kind of.
Yeah. Oh god.
One moment, trying to take care of something.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's see.
So circling back to the human characters, one of the big things that I actually really like about that is that every single one of the big three of the three side characters gets their own separate sequence to shine in their own way. For the captain, it's his speech before the chase sequence. For Doc, it's when he's explaining the plan, and then for Kid, it's saving everyone. It's basically that. It's just good. These are just good characters.
Oh yeah, yep, they are great characters.
I feel like the Doc and the captain. I find it interesting that the Yamazaki decided what he did to do what he did with them, because realistically speaking, they don't really have much of an arc, but they have so much personality that they kind of don't need the arc. I don't know if that makes sense.
It doesn't matter whether or not they have one because they're absolutely enjoyable.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like you compensate. I think that's probably the best way to do it. Like if you don't have a character arc for your side characters, or if you can't think of one, the best way to compensate it, I think, is to just make them as likable and memorable as possible. And that's what I think Yamazaki did. And honestly, that's kind of genius, in my opinion. It's kind of genius.
Yeah, it is. It works pretty well. Yeah, they don't need they pretty much don't need like a really like a dynamic arc pretty much, but they have but they pretty much have, they're let's just say the dynamics that they have amongst amongst the three is very strong. Where you got these two guys who have seen what war is like, and they're trying to and they pretty much want the younger their younger companion to like not experience it, to experience that kind of hardship that they went through.
There's one more thing that's been bothering me a bit, and it's Shikishima's not daughter. Forgot her name
Akiko?
already. Akiko, yeah. I personally think there wasn't enough of Akiko to. I mean, don't get me wrong. Like the scenes where she's in it, they're probably some of my favorites. But the thing is though that you kind of feel for her more so on behalf of Shikishima than on her own behalf. On her own behalf, I mean, sure, there's the like natural paternal or maternal instinct. Oh, this child is in distress. I must protect child because child is cute and young. But beyond that, there's really not a whole lot. I don't know if you really need it or not, but I would say that
I would say you didn't. I would say you didn't need it because the parental instinct. She's basically Shikishima's motivation.
Mhm.
Akiko is basically Shikishima's motivation. Akiko and Noriko are both basically Shikishima's entire motivation for what he does. Not his arc, but for why he's going after Godzilla. Because Noriko was presumed dead, and he doesn't want the same thing to happen to his child, to what is functionally speaking his daughter.
Yeah,
So,
Yeah.
However, I would also say that probably giving her more to do, well, not more to do, but like making her a little bit more involved, because most of her scenes are her just being cute, right? What I would do is to just have her like, because we already got like a base to start with. I think having her, give that one drawing to Shikishima was probably the best foundation to start with. So what I would do is build off of that. Oh, let's say, I don't know, Akiko wants to be an artist when she grows up. She's always drawing pictures, of her family, her quote, well, functionally a family, of
her
her,
adopted family.
yeah, her adopted family. And and let's say, I don't know, a small 30 to 1 minute 30-second scene of Shikishima walking into Noriko's room and being like, "Oh, you drew all this? Yeah, I wanted to be an artist when I grow up." Something like that, something small. It doesn't have to be big. And then later down the line, when we're just getting the scene where Shikishima's talking about his motivation to keep going, he could be like, "I want to protect her future. This is my daughter. She wants to be an artist. I want to live in a world where all she draws is beautiful things and doesn't have to draw things like war." Because let's say when he saw her drawings, all she drew was like destroyed houses and stuff, and he doesn't want his daughter to keep drawing stuff like that because he doesn't want her daughter to live in a world where all she sees is just destruction.
To me, that feels like a bit much, considering, like I said, well, for one, Akiko spilling out, "I want to be an artist." That feels a bit.
It doesn't have to be exactly like that. Just
Yeah,
that's just like the
I know,
whole
but
idea.
still, this feels like it would be a bit forced, considering we don't like the fact that Akiko draws. That's not just "I want to be an artist," but that's like little kid stuff. That's basically what young children do, and
Yeah, that's
the
why I
fact
said
that
build up. It's not necessarily that she wants to be that. That's not what you could do. You can use
But,
that
like,
as a foundation and say that that's why she does it, why she draws.
That's right. But also, I don't feel like it's necessary, considering the fact that we don't really need that kind of scene, because she we get the small bit during the montage that shows us that she enjoys this stuff, and the fact that she, oh god, words are failing me. But the fact that she does this in the film twice, the fact that she gives her, functionally speaking, father a drawing of the family twice is I would say enough to solidify a reason to protect her. And again, the parental instincts. Yeah, maybe there could have been more, but really, the fact that it's the child, I would rather not see them dead, and we're not exactly Oh God, words are failing me. God damn it. I damn it. Come on, say
Take
stuff.
your time.
Sorry.
That's not meant to be. That's not me like making fun of you.
No, but like, I think you can get what I mean. It just, to me, it comes across as a bit forced, considering we already have enough reason for Shikishima to live even with Akiko in mind.
No, I'm just saying this isn't. But that's precisely the thing. This isn't necessarily about. I mean, Shikishima is definitely involved, and it could definitely help. I would say that it's extra for Shikishima, but I'm saying this about Akiko. Like I'm saying, I'm saying this, that there could be a scene to get Akiko a little bit more involved. Like I said, this scene doesn't have to take more than like 2 minutes. This could be like a short scene if we want to, or part of the montage. That either one is fine. Like if you write it,
we technically already got that part in the montage with her drawing with Noriko, and then Shikishima looking at the drawing specifically.
yeah, but like you said that's just little kid stuff. So no, most people would probably not think twice about that. Most people would probably, and you're trying if you're trying to do something like how I suggested, which again it's not, it might make Akiko more involved. If you're trying to do something like that, then you probably want to be at least a little bit more explicit. You don't have to like say everything. You don't have to like
show don't tell.
Show don't tell. Just show don't tell. You can just have Shikishima a scene of her of him walking into her room, see her drawing, he's smiling and she's smiling, and then he starts to notice that the drawings are like that of just destroyed buildings and stuff, and people in the destroyed buildings, and he starts to like and then the track becomes a little bit darker, or a lot more tragic, and then boom, next scene. That could in matter of fact, we probably could get that scene in the extended version.
Yeah, Rooney, if there's like a extended version of -1 out there that exists, please. I feel like that would be the perfect thing to add. Just a little scene like that.
Or hell, maybe something like that in the sequel.
Yeah.
I mean, in the sequel,
yeah, that actually could. Yeah, I mean, I could.
That depends on the plot of the sequel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, from the hints that we have, it's likely going to be a little bit more Noriko focused. So there's that.
Oh yeah, no, I definitely want.
I mean, you could still.
I mean, despite what I just said.
Yeah, you can still do it with Noriko.
Yeah. So Antonio is asking what we would think if there would be a Godzilla anime by Studio Trigger.
Oh my God, this question. Okay.
Wait, Studio Trigger? Oh, I forgot who they
Studio
were.
Trigger is the they made Kill la Kill. Technically, well, it's not. It's Gainax, but they also made Gurren Lagann. The people who became Studio Trigger, they were still Gainax at the time. Made Gurren Lagann. They also made
They
Cyberpunk. They made oh my God! They made Cyberpunk. Oh my God!
Yeah, they made Edge Runners.
Yeah, they also did a recent Transformers 40th anniversary thing.
Here's my thing. I love Studio Trigger. Genuinely, they're my favorite animation studio. Anything they make, I eat it up. I do not think they are the right fit for a Godzilla anime.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking, because my frame of reference for Studio
absolutely
Trigger
get them on that.
Yeah, my frame of reference is Kill la Kill, and they did Darling in the Franxx. I didn't know that. My reference is Kill la Kill, Edge Runners, and Gurren Lagann, my all-time favorite. And their animation style, it doesn't really mesh well with something like Godzilla, because their animation style is incredibly dynamic, incredibly, action, fast-paced. I don't think that would fit something like Godzilla. I think I'm hesitant to say Mappa, but given their work on AOT, but at the same time, if they were
Mappa is the best fit out of the big studios.
We've seen what Polygon did, and
which is anything but dynamic.
Oh, absolutely.
He spiraled.
Godzilla. To be fair, that
hold
version
on.
of Godzilla
For the
is
most
huge. There's not a
part,
whole lot you could
Talk
do.
about
So.
the Planet Eater.
Yeah, there's not a whole lot you could do when Godzilla's as big as that. So if he moves that slow and that stiffly, it probably makes sense for his size.
Yeah.
But something King of Candor said to me, it probably doesn't make sense to have Godzilla be that big.
I
especially if
agree.
you're trying to make
I agree with him on that. 300 meters feels a bit excessive.
Yes, I learned that the hard way. I mean, I have. It's funny because I'm in the military and yet I am almost mathematically illiterate. Measurements just slide down my brain. I cannot do measurements for shit. I just rely on other people for that because I can't do it myself. But yeah, no, having it be that big, like if you're trying to make it entertaining, it's probably not going to be if you make Godzilla.
Absolutely not. Granted, I've backtracked on. Don't take this personally, but I've backtracked on my takes on my opinion on your story a lot, mainly for personal reasons. I don't like those kinds of ends of the world stories.
Fair enough. I mean, even I'm backtracking a little bit on my own story. Like, I think I remember saying that I preferred my the story on Monsters pitch better than my other Godzilla story.
You did.
I did say that. So
yeah.
maybe subconsciously I knew that something was wrong. I don't remember who said this, but this is a quote that just pops into my mind every now and then. Like, maybe you didn't notice it, but your brain did, and I think that's what happened.
Yeah.
Where have I heard that before?
So yeah, I definitely see the problem. I'm definitely making another edition of that story because the more I look through it, the more problems I find.
Yeah.
I definitely
rereading that. This definitely needed a second draft.
Yeah, it's funny because I said this before, but my idea of a redraft was just trying to check for spelling errors. So I didn't actually notice what the actual problem with the script was. I just said, "Oh, there's a spelling error here. All right, bet. Let's fix it. Boom, done. Next." And that was just my entire process.
Did you watch Candor's 3-part EFAPPing video of the one guy who responded to you?
Mm-hmm, yeah, but the guy that responded to me, he did not know a whole lot about what he was talking about from what I heard, from what I was listening to.
Did you watch the stream where he was on with Candor? Because, oh boy.
Yeah. I remember Pag getting really, really annoyed at one point, and he was like, "Bro, shut the fuck up. What is this? What is that? Answer the goddamn question." And he was. I felt his frustration. I genuinely felt. I knew that somebody at some point was going to start screaming at him. I wasn't expecting it to be him. I was expecting it to be King, but no, it was him. And honestly, makes sense.
I need to get around to watching that.
Yeah, and then that guy did a 2-minute video on his thoughts on Godzilla Minus One, and where he showed he completely missed the point.
Wait, he did?
What did he say?
For context, because I've watched the video, he's one of those people that thinks that Minus One is pro-Japanese historical revisionism, and then proceeds to bring up the straw man that is Unit 731.
Okay, hold on. My brain just stopped. Wait, he said that movie was what?
Pro-Japanese historical revisionism.
Pro-Japanese historical revisionism.
Sorry, I don't know a better way to phrase that. Basically, it's like saying he described it as the movie just being let's do World War II but right this time.
Oh my god.
They usually involve challenging the orthodox scholarly views or narratives regarding a historical event, time, or phenomenon by introducing contrary evidence or reinterpreting the motivations and decisions of the people involved. So what does he mean by what do you mean by historical revisionism?
The video is so poorly done, and he barely he's talking in this stupid voice the entire time that it kind of is hard to figure out what he's even saying.
Basically what he means by historical revisionism is Japan saying we did nothing wrong.
The fuck? the fuck?
The same idea.
My exact reaction. When I finished that video, I screamed, "This movie has the exact same message as GMK. How did you miss that?"
This
Fucking what?
That review has made me backtrack on my stance of subjectivity versus objectivity, and I'm just like, this review just makes me think you can just be objectively wrong about a film.
You have to.
No. That's the thing. Like, people misuse the word objective the whole time. Objective does not mean irrefutable. It just means you used observable evidence to come to a conclusion. That's all it means. It doesn't mean irrefutable.
Exactly.
But here, it's like, that could be an entirely different stream. Is that debate? But then going into it, but yeah, if you like just say that, then like you are just being you're just flat out wrong.
Motherfucker.
The film itself is saying
that's one of the moments where I had to pull an EFAP and scream, "Did you watch it?"
Never cook again. Joseph, never cook again.
Mother of God. How did you miss that? And the sad thing is we can't even cover that because it's 2 minutes long.
Hey, you can turn if you can turn a 2-minute video into a 2-hour-long stream, you did your job.
Yeah, but then it starts to come off as us just bullying him, which, to be fair, it would be anyway.
Hey, from my experience, bullying works.
Mm.
People bullied me
here's the thing.
the entirety of basic training, and now I am ripped beyond my years. That is a lie. I have a sleeper build, but you get the point.
Okay, was it? Okay, the thing that made that funny was just this 2-second silence.
Yeah. Nah, but I can definitely bench press some of y'all.
Okay. Yeah, I'm definitely gonna make. So I've been thinking of doing animatics for different sequences from the stream. I'm probably gonna do an animatic of the reaction to Joseph's thing because that was way too funny.
Oh my God,
no, bro! I'm so like.
What
the thing that pissed me off.
This is rubbish.
No, the thing that pissed me off the most is that the video came out like a week or so before I had to go to basic training, and I'm like, fuck, I can't cover this. Oh well, I'll cover it after I leave. Then I come to find out when we get our phones on Sundays. Wait, King of Candor made a stream debunking him, and he's planning on doing a series. Fuck, I wanted to do it, but then when we got our phones back,
bro, he just robbed you.
No, but I'm kind of happy he did because I'm kind of happy he did because he did a much better job than I did.
Yeah, man was ruthless.
Yeah,
well, and then Joseph just ran off like a coward.
Zim wanted to debate him on the thematics of -1, and he just and Joseph's response was just, "Nope."
No.
Coward.
Source.
It makes you wonder, like, maybe he was watching Godzilla versus King Ghidorah while he was high and he thought it was -1. That's the only explanation I could possibly theorize for how this happened.
This is actually an interesting question because this is just something I wanted to ask about. Would you be interested in doing a one-on-one debate about versus King Ghidorah? Because I don't believe that about versus King Ghidorah.
About Godzilla versus King Ghidorah being really bad.
I would debate it being. I do think it is a bit of a mess, but I would not say it is horrible. I would honestly say it's ambitious for one thing. But
I agree. No, I could agree that it was ambitious, but here's the thing: like, here's the thing: like, you can reach for the stars and all that, but that doesn't mean you can reach them if you physically.
I'll talk to you more about that after the stream is over.
I forgot that I watched that video. I really like because I remember saying that Godzilla King versus King Ghidorah at one point because I had notes on the movie. They were deleted along with my account. Fuck. But I do remember. So I have to watch the Heisei era all over again just to rewrite my notes on the Heisei era. But yeah, no, like I do remember the Godzilla versus King Ghidorah being plot-wise being how do I put this nicely? How do I put this? Ah, fuck it. It was absolutely fucking stupid.
I mean, that's what happens
there are
when you're
some
dealing
parts
with
that I
time travel.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's so weird because sometimes some of the best movies that deal with time travel, usually the time travel is just like a one and done thing. For example, like in Terminator, right? X character goes to a certain point in time, and then that is just that it begins and ends there. And
Mhm.
yeah, those are probably the better stories. I'd say like Meet the Robinsons is another great example of time travel used well. And Back to the Future is I don't remember much. What's the last time I watched Back to the Future? I was like in middle school. Uh, I think Back to the Future did it well from what I remember. And again, Meet the Robinsons, probably my favorite example. But that's an Edge of Time. Spider-Man: Edge of Time is another great example of time travel done right because it doesn't really overcomplicate things. Basically, quantum causality, as Miguel O'Hara puts it, my actions in the present affect the future. So it's really really simple. It's really simple, and they keep that consistent throughout, which is great.
And then you get bullshit like Avengers Endgame.
Or
Oh,
the
yeah.
Flash.
More
Or
like
Flash.
the trash.
Yeah, that movie was so bad. I swear, I think it may have given me cancer when I saw it.
I refuse
Dude,
to watch
I watched
that
it
on
with my dad.
principle.
I watched it with my dad. So my dad doesn't really know a whole lot about like movies or the industry or anything. He just watches them how you would ride a roller coaster ride. He thought the movie was good, and that there should be more of them.
Oh.
And I kind of forgive him because like again he doesn't know a whole lot about movies and stuff. So like or the industry. So I could forgive his ignorance, but at the same time.
With all due respect to your dad, I almost had a gag reflex when you said there should be more movies like The Flash. Like, no, no.
No, I did the exact same thing.
No.
Don't you worry.
No, if I want any more movies like a DCEU film, I want more movies like Blue Beetle. Because I actually really liked Blue Beetle.
I never watched it, but from the looks of it, I don't think it was like I haven't seen it, but I don't think it. From what I've heard of people describing the plot, like the description of the plot, it doesn't really sound that bad.
Yeah, it's not. It's not. It felt a lot like the Sam Raimi Spider-Man movies, specifically the first one.
I definitely would not. I would definitely would not put it mentioned in the same sentence as the Raimi Spider-Man movies.
I know.
But yeah,
I know.
I mean, Blue Beetle.
I know.
I honestly thought Blue Beetle was just kind of
them.
I honestly thought Blue Beetle was just kind of so. You know, it's just kind of whatever.
Yeah, it's probably just because I personally relate to a lot of the stuff in that film, but I personally enjoyed it. It's just a fun time, and it's just a fun film. Anyways, we should probably get back to -1.
Yeah, I completely derailed us.
Thank you.
I tend to do that.
No, that's okay. I mean, to be fair, we kind of derailed a little bit, because of something that was related to some crazy opinion on -1. So it's like
I had to just mention that it was so baffling.
I think enough has been said about it throughout because it's been out for like what, a year, more than a year. So I think people already have voiced so much of their opinions about this film and about the writing in particular that I think everything that could be said about it has already been said, and if we just try and say it again, it just be redundant.
Yeah.
No, I getcha. It's just that I'm pretty much hoping that C. Animus will come up for a bit so that he and I can hash out about how Operation Watasume, which is the plan in -1, makes infinitely more sense than the Yashiori plan in Shin Godzilla. In every conceivable way, it makes way more. It functions better.
It's also a very unique way to actually kill Godzilla.
Yeah.
A circumvention. It harkens back to the oxygen destroyer's death without needing to use the oxygen destroyer.
We use the sea to kill him.
Speaking of Wadasumi, I love when Godzilla comes out of the water. He looks deranged.
Yeah.
His body is falling apart. His eyes are popping out of his head.
Yeah, it's a pretty gruesome image when you look at it.
But he still has it in him. He's like, I am going to kill you.
He's too angry to die.
Local lizard, too angry to die.
There you go.
Yeah, it's like you got this plan that, when you pretty much kind of think about it, it's like we got to get a bunch of boats to kind of tie a whole cable around that's got these devices that's going to propel him down into the deepest depths of the Sagami Trench, and then we're going to bring him back up. And here's the thing, and the thing about it is they pretty much are aware that the plan may not fully work, or at least as well as they hope they would, but they're pretty much they pretty much have a strong feeling that it can work. There's a chance that it can work. They're pretty much fighting. They're doing their part to try to stop him, the best that they can. Whereas with the Yashiori plan, there's so many holes when you just think about it, from how the fact that Godzilla has this phase array. God, it was such a horrible fucking mistake for them to introduce him being able to have a radar system while he's in a sleep mode, because that's just that just breaks so much of that.
The thing is, the phase array thing was stupid.
They should never have introduced that, because you just broke your climax completely.
One thing that happened, because I told you about the guy who responded to C Animus. I went back with that video in mind because he had a couple of good points, but I went back and rewatched C Animus's Shin versus 98 video. I really don't think he should have said a lot of the stuff with Go Watch Fractured Diamond, because that is a 2-hour-long video, and I don't think people have the time to sit through that.
3.5 hours.
My point still stands.
If you're watching these shenanigans, on Sea Monster Live and Sea Animus, I think you might have that time if, I don't know, you just put it on in the background or something. But
or maybe just have someone recommend you to put a timestamp for when they come up. I don't know.
Yeah.
Something I like to do when it comes to those massive videos, watch them in chunks.
Yeah, that's what I did. That's what I did with Nerd. Well, okay, no, I watched Nerd in the Suit in one go, but that's what I did with Celtic Phoenix's Anthony stream and with Fractured Diamond and A Great Joy.
Yeah, and there's also the whole thing of how, unlike in Shin Godzilla, which completely misses the point of about how blood coagulant is supposed to work. They refer to it as coagulant, even though it doesn't freeze stuff. It basically just kind of turns the blood in your bloodstream into basically hardened sludge. And they're pretty much hoping that we could shut him down by freezing him with coagulant, even though clogging his systems would have the opposite effect.
He should have melted.
Which is funny because which is kind of hilarious when you think about it. Not literally hilarious, but in a sense, it's pretty funny when you think about how the nuclear meltdown happened. That kind in the Daisuke, the nuclear fallout that happened because of the tsunami, because the systems were shut down. It caused the reactor to melt down and explode.
Yeah,
and those events were supposed to be the inspiration for Shin Godzilla, and yet they overlooked such a blatantly obvious detail for how that real life event happened.
But thankful, yeah. But then, I'm honestly wondering what parts of Shin Godzilla Yamazaki seems to take into Minus One? Because I didn't really taste a lot of the Shin in this film.
A part of me wants to say Godzilla's portrayal was partially also influenced by Shin, specifically his movements.
Maybe whatever movements Shin Godzilla had.
Yeah, but like when you look at his walk cycle, that is basically a repeat of Shin.
It can't be because of personality-wise, or at least how the personality is presented, because I mean that's like worlds apart.
That's something that I've actually backtracked, especially with Who Will Know. I don't like the execution of Who Will Know. I still stand by that. I think the execution of the atomic breath sequence and Shin Godzilla's character is mixed, but what Who Will Know is going for, I think, is actually not as bad.
Here's the thing.
Especially with a recontextualization bit, because and that's something that these guys pointed out. Shin closes his eyes before one of the bombs drop on his face. That's a small, like, it's brief and it's not the most noteworthy thing, but it is a small sense of self-preservation, a small sense of character. And even then, and I was also thinking about this in relation to King of the Monsters as well, grief can take the forms of many different forms. Why can't pain? Like, yeah, it's usually obviously manifested in the form of rage, as shown by Gojira, Nemesis, and Cloverfield, but is it not entirely possible that it could be portrayed in a different manner?
I suppose so. It's just that the way Shin Godzilla just kind of executed it, like the way they tried to make it, they pretty much made it like so minimalist, and the fact that you have that the soundtrack of the movie, where parts of the soundtrack you pretty much can't, when they're singing, you pretty much can't even hear because of the sound, the audio, the background in the film itself. It just kind of makes it a lot. It's like you're pretty much missing like you could be missing key details, when it would have been much better if the film just showed you, or even had the characters like come to some kind of conclusion about what he's doing, why he's doing what he's doing.
Backs up what the song's saying. Like I said, the execution is problematic at best.
Yeah, that's a thing. That's a thing. Conceptually, it could have worked, but the way it's just that how it worked, how it was done in Shin, it just didn't work. Whereas with Minus One, you don't have to Joe Smo. Yo, Joe Smo, what? Joe Smo? Yeah, Joe Smo. Hey, what's up? With Minus One, you don't need to have like a choir in the film's score to like get you to understand why Minus Goji is doing what he's doing. Like you just kind of get that sense that he's tearing shit up because like he's angry. He's a royally pissed off monster. Like the nuke pretty much mutated him. Like he was already like just a riled up beast that's like territorial, pretty much. But then this nuke happens, and and he's just kind of expanded his territory as well, and he's just tearing shit up. They even say like he's considered Japan like his territory.
Doubled in size. An animal like that is gonna need a lot more territory to run off.
Yeah,
and even in a Minus One, this is why some of the criticisms of sorry, I'm trying to get us back on topic.
We are on
Minus
topic.
One. Sorry, I was kind of lost for a second, but I thought we were still on Shin. But that's why the criticisms of people talking about Minus One's walk cycle never sat right with me. Because one, if you notice, I'm going to say it again. I'm going to say it again. Use your eyes, people. But use your brain, too. But, like, I don't know, just think for a second. This creature is very much a dinosaur in a lot of ways. This very large theropod dinosaur is moving pretty swiftly for a creature of its size. Then it gets mutated, and not only is it double the size it should be normally, but its posture has changed completely from a horizontal one to an almost entirely vertical one in probably the span of literal seconds. Of course it's going to be walking weird. Of course it's going to have an easier time in the water. What's your point?
Yeah.
That it looks weird? Wow. Congratulations. You got welcome to the point. You're late.
And even then, I would say the fact that also part of bias to the fact that the giant monster has been portrayed often with suits, the fact that it is a stilted, near unrealistic, or just awkward walk is forgiven due to the fact that we've seen decades of this up to this point. We've seen this kind of walk cycle for decades under albeit a different medium, but still, we've seen it before.
Just talk to Braden when it comes to CGI. Don't just talk to him.
I have my own issues with the guy, but
Don't.
Okay.
We be on topic still.
Like,
yeah.
I'm still waiting for him to like do more stuff and talk about more stuff more often because I don't.
He did a stream recently that was suits versus CGI, and
I haven't seen it.
I can just tell.
Yeah.
I can just tell you're not happy with it.
I'm not happy with it. As someone who is studying the wider kaiju genre, I'm sorry. No offense to the guy, but he came off as very dickish.
I don't know because I'm pretty sure he has some experience with CGI and modeling and because I've seen him and his friends and stuff. So I think because I'm kind of conflicted because I kind of see him as like not an authority, but you know, the guy you go to if you want to know about CGI. He's your guy, you know. Like you want to know about CGI, boom, he's your guy. So I would.
If you want to know what a love life with Zim is like, you go to Braden.
Yeah, I think it was mostly just because of how he spoke a lot about the Ultraman franchise. Like we had a conversation after the fact. He said he hasn't seen that much Ultraman, and fair enough, but like his tone of voice when discussing the Ultraman franchise in specific just felt really condescending.
I feel a better word.
I think
for this
he's just like that. I don't think he has any ill will. I think he's just like that.
Yeah,
I think that's just how it talks.
Yeah, but as someone who doesn't have as much experience with him,
yeah, well, as someone who does,
is it just kind of like?
All right, I'm just letting you know. There's no.
I know. I've talked with him before, but like, yeah, and also a lot of his discussions with a lot of his discussions in terms of King of the Monsters, it comes across as if, I think the best way to describe it would just be petty, because it feels like he takes the movie as a personal insult, and that just doesn't seem right to me.
I mean,
I know that's not his
Let There Be
intent.
Carnage as a personal insult because I know the Carnage comics and Carnage is one of my favorite villains. So Let There Be Carnage was definitely insulting to me. So
I take Thor: Love and Thunder as personal insults, but I'm not going out of my way to consistently tear the film apart whenever I get the chance.
Oh, I would.
I'd rather save that. I would rather save that for one maybe 12-hour long video where I just tear the film to shreds frame by frame.
Do it.
I think he's just
I would do that. I would do that. The problem is I have to rewatch Thor: Love and Thunder.
It's a sacrifice. It's a sacrifice you must be ready to make.
Minecraft world.
Where's the Lord Farquaad? It's like some of you may die, but that's the yeah, it's like if you like. It's like I could see myself like ripping Joker fully and do a new one like any chance I get. It's just that sometimes it could get a little tiresome at some point, but I'll still do it. I'll still do it because. I will say,
I'd rather talk about something I like, i.e.,
Project Nemesis. My thing is, I get having a very personal hatred of a film. Minecraft World knows two films in particular that I want to fucking gut like a fish if they were people. But
Oh, Jesus.
But yeah, I'm kind of with him. It comes off to a point I'm just like, Braden, all this time that you've spent making threads on King of the Monsters, you really could have done a better job with your whole
Approach.
explaining why CGI is better than suits. You're honest. It feels like, is there a rest stop between now and the fucking point?
Yeah, and and even if he says it's obvious, maybe it's not. It's like, again, as someone who is a bit more knowledgeable in the wider kaiju genre, to me, suits have done the job perfectly. Suits have gotten away with doing that, with capturing the spirit of the giant monster perfectly, to the point where a lot of CGI renditions nowadays either one, mix practical effects in, or two, use the suits as a basis. Minus One did the latter, Shin to an extent did the former, and Pacific Rim did the former.
I really have no opinion on it. If you wanna use CGI, use CGI, and if you wanna use if you want to use Suitmation, use Suitmation. But as long as you do it well, I don't care. Just do it well.
Yeah, honestly, to me, like, good visuals are fine, but as long as you have a good story, then the visuals can bring it down a bit. That's what happened with Gamera Rebirth, but Gamera Rebirth's story more than made up for how it looked.
Yeah, it's like much like how great visuals, can only would only just seem like icing. Would just be like icing on a cake. But if the cake, underneath the icing, tastes like shit, it won't help. On the other hand, you could have like a really good cake, but even if the icing is just kind of, it's a shame that it's a shame that the icing tastes like that. But what's underneath, but at least what's underneath is does the job. Or at least kind of like how what would be like a good example of like, because you could use like an example I mentioned Joker 2. It's like cinematography wise, which same cinematographer as King of the Monsters and the first Joker, the movie looks great, but visually speaking, but the writing is just absolute garbage and a total disrespect to the first film and anybody who even liked it. And even pretty much thought of Todd Phillips as being someone who seems to know what he's doing in terms of making a quality film. But then next thing you know, he makes that sequel that's like, no, fuck you. It's like, this is what I actually meant. Like,
shows very clear contempt for those who enjoyed the first one.
Yeah, because he thinks that people missed the point of the first movie. It's like, maybe you missed the point. I don't know.
Or are you talking about Joker too?
Yeah.
Like,
wait.
Well, I was using it as an example. I was using it as an example of a movie that looks great, but it has like really terrible writing, and that's why it's a terrible movie. But on the other hand, I'm trying to think of like an example, like a movie that doesn't look great, but it has like a top-notch like writing to where like it's still a good movie despite the visuals being kind of
I can't think of a movie like that.
I want to say,
I know I've seen some, but like I can't think one off the top.
I mean, my first go-to reaction is Gamera Rebirth, but I don't think you've seen it, and I know you haven't seen it, Rooney. I know Kuru.
Gamera Rebirth. Oh, I've seen like the first episode.
Oh, hell yeah!
Watch the rest of it. It's unironically probably the best kaiju anime.
I will watch it as soon as I get the hell out of here. I will eventually. I mean, I have to rewatch TF1 later today for my stream tomorrow. But
yeah,
I was supposed to be writing
back
notes.
to what you said in relation to you saw God's face and it was Michael Bay. That was perfect.
Wait.
Yeah, I saw the face of God, and it was Michael Bay.
I told a friend of mine who's basically she's basically me, but her hyperfixation is Transformers. I told a friend of mine about that. She could not stop laughing for 5 minutes.
Oh.
And then we got into a discussion about why Age of Extinction is shit.
Yeah, I haven't seen the Bayformers films in a while, but I remember liking them. I don't think necessarily the writing is getting good, but me personally, I enjoy them mainly because my brother always, whenever there was a new Transformers movie, he would always take me to watch it with him. The only reason why he ever watched those movies was because of the cars. He was super autistic about cars. He still is. So whenever he saw, oh, that's a Chevy Camaro, something, whatever the fuck. Oh, that's a Toyota Corolla, blah 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 blah. It's got this fuselage and the engine, and he would go super autistic about cars. And so even though he was like a quiet person, he would ramble about cars.
There's like so much of an yeah. 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 Honestly, I think the fact that we keep derailing just kind of proves the point of what is there to say about -1.
It speaks for itself. Also,
It is
I think we're just holding out till Animus shows up.
if he shows up.
Yeah,
There's
yes,
a
that's exactly.
chance that I'm going to be hopping off in a few 10 minutes because the military duties need me. I might come back though.
Yeah. Also, have you been going back to watch some of the older streams that you missed?
Yes.
Okay.
Watched one of
the original. Have you seen the original Monster stream? Because
I don't think I have.
Okay, because me and a couple others, we shared our own original kaiju stories.
Oh wait, no, hold on. Are you talking about? Wait, are you talking about the one that we did before I left?
No, that was after.
Oh, original. I mean, no, I don't. I saw it, but I didn't like watch it. But
Okay.
it sucks because I actually do have a whole massive universe planned out for. I don't like calling them kaiju, but they're essentially kaiju. It's called the World Breakers, and it's basically. I don't know how to describe it because I don't think there's a whole lot of things like it, which I guess is a good thing. It just means I'm, have an original concept, but it's been taking me a whole lot, and it's probably going to take me
right back.
It's going to take me like probably years to like fully flesh out everything because I want this whole universe to be massive. I mean, gigantic. And so like I want to share that story, but at the same time I can't because like if I ever become an actual professional writer, which is the whole point, I wouldn't want to spoil any of that because that's like my main project. Like
That's
it's
fair.
the one thing I want people to know me.
That's fair. I mean, when it comes to me, I don't have any restraint, any excuse to talk about my story. I'll do it.
Yeah, no, I get you. I have like several other stories. I started writing one where it's basically John Wick, but it's this woman who is hired to kill people in the mafia, but she's like super super nice, and she can't stop being nice to the people she kills, and she gets her being nice just gets her in trouble, and she has to fight all these people who are basically trying to tear her down, but she just can't stop being nice. And yeah.
That is hilarious, actually. That sounds absolutely hilarious. Yeah. Also, did you watch Zim's Congo 5 debate?
No, I should have watched that, bro. I mean, I don't have a whole lot of time, but I want to watch that one but at the same time, like I haven't seen Congo 5 in so long that I don't think I'll be able to like really remember anything that from that movie to really form my own opinions on anybody's arguments or anything of the sort.
He is not merciful with that film.
Yeah, it almost kind of got to it kind of just gets to the point where it's like oh, as long as it's like oh, well, what's the point of like remaking it if it's not going to be like exactly
the same.
I don't want to put words in his mouth. Pretty much like say like misconstrue, the point that he was making there. It's just kind of like it's kind of like he was saying something similar to like the to the 2020 like Invisible Man thing where like even if like so okay even if it's not like the most one-to-one adaptation to the original source, is it like Like, what can it's like? Could it at least just still be a good movie on its own? Like, for what it's, even if it's just an in name only thing, because it's like, well, yeah, like Godzilla '98 is a bad movie, but it's not necessary. I mean, it's a bad adaptation of Godzilla, and but it's also a bad movie just in period when you think like just on its own.
Yeah, as the nerd in the suit so helpfully described, and as other people have probably come to the conclusion of, I don't always like to use the term problematic every now and then, but like that's probably the best way to describe it. It's messy.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm gonna
Yeah.
hop off for a bit. I might be back, so yeah, I have to attend the formation because they're gonna kill me if I don't. So,
Okay, please don't.
I mean
die.
that very literally.
Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna just mute myself.
All right.
All right. Cool.
Yeah.
I guess there's another point that I do want to make that is in relation to -1, as well as like just like I know we kind of talk about compare it to Shin Godzilla pretty much, but it is kind of like when you discount the Polygon trilogy, like -1 and Shin are back to back in terms of the releases and what have you. In the fact that even Yamazaki kind of said that there's some inspiration from Shin in making -1. Another thing that's kind of a key thing, the thing that kind of kicks the plot off is, how both -1 and Shin kind of start out with like characters like not taking the initiative to try to kill Godzilla in some capacity. Like you got Shikishima, in -1, pretty much in the cockpit, like looking at Godzilla. Like Godzilla's practically almost like looking at him directly in the eye as he has his hand on the trigger, but he's still scared out of his wits.
Here's a fun
like he's right there.
In the novelization to -1, it is outright said Godzilla is not just looking at Shikishima's direction, he is looking at Shikishima. He is looking at him.
Yeah. Pretty much. Yeah. Whereas with Shin, it's not so much a soldier. We're not focusing necessarily a soldier, pointing a gun directly at Godzilla, but rather the prime minister, trying to, being put in the position to give the order to shoot at Godzilla, only to obviously say, abort! Abort! Even though Godzilla's killed a whole bunch of people, we must abort! Because of two people there. Like, the whole thing with Shikishima failing to kill Godzilla and the reasoning for why just kind of... Yep, there he goes. Like, -1 functions that sort of plot mechanic or plot sort of element much better than Shin did. Let's just say, because for one thing, like the prime minister in Shin, like he's all like the guy was all about protecting. It was pretty much about making sure that the public, would just be kept safe by any stretch of imagination. Like, he would know at this point that Godzilla has potentially killed a whole bunch of people, whether by accident or not, is beside the point. Like, the collateral damage would I guarantee you a whole more Godzilla when he was in his little rubber chicken form thing, just salamander rubber chicken mode. Let's just say.
Mode.
Yeah, pretty much. Just giant claw mode. He killed more. He pretty much killed more people. That version of Godzilla killed more people as we saw in the start of Shin than Proto Godzilla did in -1 with all the guys at the Odo Island base. Objectively, we'd have to agree with that. Like the numbers just.
We don't see anything.
Even if we don't see anything, but it's but let's just
around.
I don't know if anyone is dead under that rubble.
I'm pretty sure that there were people in a building that literally just tipped sideways over, and he kind of Yeah, there was three people. Three people could be more. Here's the thing: like, if you're in the prime minister's shoes, don't just assume that only three people died. That's kind of the key point. In fact, how about the officers that were on Goromaki's boat when it exploded?
This has not been on the boat, honestly. Skill issue.
Still, yeah. It's like, but here's the thing, you're in the prime minister's shoe. How can you be sure at this point? How can you be sure that Godzilla hasn't killed more people than what you may already know at that point? Like at this, like the fact that he's like going around doing all this stuff, like whatever path he's going, whatever he's doing, there's bound to be people like civilian deaths along the way. So, and he wants to make sure that no more people die. What would be like a surefire way? What other surefire way is there to make sure that doesn't happen than to hope for the best and have the military try to gun him down, like what they were about to do in Shin before they spotted two random civilians, like just walking across the road. It's like, oh, but that those two civilians are going to be enough for you to abort this attack that, may actually kill Godzilla, may not kill him. The point is to like at least try. But even though he killed more people, it's when you pretty much stop and think about how that scene played out, it just leading up to it. It just doesn't fit congruently with how we know the prime minister up to this point. Even with the limited time that we know of him up to this point, we kind of get the sense of what kind of character he is, pretty much. At least just even again, not in the most. He's not the most deep. He's not the deepest character or the most three-dimensional character in the world, but he is like. But you have there's some level of understanding of what he's supposed to be. Him making the decision to not shoot Godzilla, not to try to gun him down, doesn't make any sense, for who he is as a character. Now, with -1, you get to Shikishima. Like we already know that he pretty much let's just maybe chicken out is like too strong of a phrase to put it, but he pretty much essentially ran away from his duty because he doesn't want to die. And there's even other characters that kind of sort of agree with him. Like that one guy who was talking about how what's the point of dying honorably if we all know the outcome in the end. And we pretty much even if we don't know that he has family that he's trying to get back home to, only to realize that they're dead, but that's beside the point. For all he knew before, he finally got back home, his parents were still alive. When he is being tasked to man the guns on his plane to try to shoot Godzilla down, we don't know if those guns could kill Godzilla at that point. The thing is though, is whether or not does it make sense for Shikishima, as far as we know of him up to this point? Does it make sense for him to, kind of cower, to kind of be too scared, too terrified out of his wits at just the sight of Godzilla to try to gun him down? In this instance, in this particular example, it does. That's kind of like, yeah, it's kind of, so the key thing is that it's really interesting to see how you had these two films in the Reiwa era that both kind of have a similar element at their beginning points, their beginnings in the story, which would allow Godzilla to run away because of the inactions of a certain key character. Except in Shin Godzilla, it doesn't make sense for the character for the PM to not call for Godzilla to try to be gunned down, pretty much, regardless of whether or not it would have worked. Whereas in -1, it makes sense for why Shikishima wouldn't gun him down, despite the fact that there's no other higher up. There's no higher up except for Tachibana, to give the order for him to shoot. and he was given the order to shoot, but obviously, as we know, the rest is history.
Yeah.
Quick question. Do I sound okay?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
A
Because
little bit.
my funny story how Black Rooney opened this thing with him saying that his headset broke. You know what just happened?
Your headset
What?
broke.
My headset broke.
Oh.
Well, I said
Aw.
the channel, like on it, like broke off, and it's tugging now on my hair,
Mm.
Jeez.
and it's not a pleasant feeling. I've been dealing with it for the last 40 minutes. I just can't do it anymore.
Mm.
Yeah. Just
Yeah.
Probably gonna ask for a new one.
Has Animus responded?
let me check. He pretty much he said he's like doing. He's pretty much. He said he would be doing something with his family. By the time I start this, but he said he may come on if we're still going. So.
Mm. Okay. Yeah.
Oh, let me check. Let me check messages. Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely a really. Yeah, I guess the basic gist here is that -1 is better than Shin. There's just not even.
Oh yeah.
There's not even a question
Oh yeah.
on that. Apparently, Shin Godzilla. I just saw like a post on like Twitter or something, like a suggested post on Twitter concerning that I, like or retweet stuff related to Godzilla. Okay, looks like he hasn't responded yet.
Ah, dang.
So I'm kind of waiting. So
Yeah.
apparently, Shin Godzilla made a cameo or something with his features. Made a cameo in like a SpongeBob episode.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah, I
that-
remember that.
That was a few years back. He just was a corpse.
Mm-hmm.
He was just lying on the floor.
Just kind of there.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's funny how you mentioned that because you know what I just found on Twitter as well? Apparently Godzilla and Gamera have had an on-screen moment together in an Easter egg. It was two of their toys. Just
Oh, yeah,
on together
I'm-
in an episode
I'm looking
of
at it right now. Oh, the clip.
Yeah. And you know what's funny? You know the funny part? You know the man who directed that episode of Ultraman Max?
Oh, it's the GMK director.
Shusuke Kaneko.
GMK.
Yep, it was him.
Hell yeah. Fitting.
Yeah,
But
it's
it
way
looks
too.
like this clip. But it looks like this clip. It looks like they're even using like the same like sort of visual effect for the ground shaking as GMK, where it just looks like, yeah, we're just shake the camera. Maybe they literally are just shaking the camera. I wouldn't be surprised. No. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm still dreading the day we go down the platoon rabbit hole.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out what it would have to be a milestone of thing, but I'm just trying to figure out what milestone it would be.
Mm.
Yeah, like
Hey, like subscriber milestone, you're close to 300.
300 subscriber milestone.
You could probably do that.
Yeah, that could work.
Or if you do, you could also do it like for your 100th video or something.
That works too.
That could work too. If the stars align. Yeah.
Yeah.
But,
I think once we get to that point, before doing so, I'm definitely going to rewatch the movie, but I might also reread the novelization. Because the novelization, like, this is basically an improved version of the movie in every way, shape, and or form.
Yeah.
Well, in every way that it could be. It's like reading this genuinely convinced me that if you need problems with lore consistency, talk to the guy writing the books, because he's actually doing a damn good job at keeping the lore as consistent as he can.
Yeah.
Like I'm also hoping to reread the Cottam novelization, because it's been a bit. Yeah.
On my end, I'm going into Platoon blind.
Fair. You don't
Yeah.
want to subject yourself to torture before you
I'm not supporting the career of a racist.
Yeah. Yeah, you don't want to subject yourself to torture before the torture session.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. I think that this. Yeah, I would say this is definitely a pretty good stream to do a super cut of, because there's definitely some good insights here, or at least like insights that are more or less in line with what people would either expect of -1, or if not a little more so than maybe your average video essay out there from normies, what have you. But also because of the funny shit.
Yeah. -1 is a breath of fresh air from all the, frankly, just not good stuff in the Reiwa era.
Yeah.
I hope there is more.
Please.
Yeah. Yeah, hopefully.
Yeah. I think if Animus isn't showing up in a bit, I think you may want to talk about the scene itself then, the Wanatsumi in full.
What do you mean?
Like, was that the scene that you were specifically going to talk about before deciding to do the stream, or?
It was mainly just kind of talking about how, those particular parts, like the whole the opening, the beginning scene, that's some of the Shin, because of the whole, what have you, with the not shooting Godzilla thing. As well as, how there's like a plan to kill Godzilla that's kind of through, like whatever means that the human characters could get their hands on, where like the Watatsumi, pretty much making a whole lot of sense in terms of just physics and what have you, because of the whole decompression and what have you. As well, I mean, I would say like there's probably like a couple instances. If I were to critique anything, is that there are pretty much like a couple instances of like editing where as soon as like when the tugboats kind of show up and they're just like, all right guys, get ready, and then cut, and then literally like next cut, we had the tugboats like already kind of tied up there. It's kind of a bit like, well, I guess that just happened. Well, all right, I guess they got them ready. Guess we didn't need. Probably would have been nice if we had like a little bit of a montage of them like tying the boats up to kind of imply that there is like maybe a little bit of passage of time of them getting those tugboats to pull onto destroyers. Perhaps I could have done with that.
Talk about why Godzilla didn't come up in that time, and I'm just like, he probably was staying in water to equalize.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As someone who has scuba dived before, quite a ways down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
20 foot. Was it? What was the depth? I think it was 25,000, 2,500.
Like that. And the deepest I've gone is 80 feet underwater.
Yeah.
Didn't he reach like 18? I think he reached. Did they say like 1,800 feet that he reached? That he stopped at.
They used meters. I think it was 2,500 meters.
I think it was like 15,000. I think it was like 1,500. So like 1,500 meters. A little bit more than that. He was about in the middle of that, like 800 something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, also, Javin Scruggs.
Question regarding your new live stream. Is the new video you're covering, is it really worth it? It's not the worst, in all honesty. Like, there were other videos worth addressing than that one from a guy who happens to enjoy GXK. It was actually just kind of more of a recommendation, from someone, and then I just kind of checked it out. And I checked it out for myself, and it's like, well, it's like, ooh, Yeah, I don't know.
Like, okay,
I'm like it's not so much that he enjoyed GXK. Him enjoying GXK isn't the reason why we're covering it. It's just kind of the reasoning for why he enjoyed it. Especially in light of the fact that he said, like, there's some stuff that he said about it in the context of the greater MonsterVerse that I mean, we'll get into it in the stream next week, but they're just kind of like what?
Yeah, and like I said, I have points that I agree with, especially with regards to Tiamat and Scylla, with what he said about Tiamat and Scylla. But the entire thing to me comes across like, I like this movie because it's genuinely good, and here's why it's genuinely good. Like grasping at straws.
I mean, he's trying to. I mean, it kind of seemed like he was trying to justify for why GXK is good because of revolving around the premise of the subtitle of his video, which is self-aware goofiness.
Yeah,
I mean, the subtitle alone made me go.
I'll elaborate on this in the stream, but I would not call GXK self-aware. I would call it sincere.
Yeah, it's a little more. Yeah, if it's sincere, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. I definitely. He kind of came up as like it definitely comes off a video as like this movie is good because it now knows that what this franchise knows what it needs to do that the franchise should have done in the first place, which is to a point. There's like a point where he literally just he says along these lines, like GXK understood what the MonsterVerse should have done from the get-go, which is to say go in the fuck it sort of mode. Or something like that. We'll get into it. I will hold my tongue.
Yeah. I have a feeling that stream is also, in Kuru's case, I have a feeling that stream is also going to devolve into a bit of subjectivity versus objectivity.
I'm not going to be there for that stream.
Oh.
Yeah. Too late for me to clear up my schedule for that one.
Okay.
Fair enough.
Well, I think this is probably good.
I'm not interested in having a subjective versus objective debate. It's every time I've seen that debate happen between people, it just turns into just a circular debate. It's just them going in circles, so I'm just like, it's just a waste of everyone's time.
Fair.
I got better things to do than have this debate. Like, explain why Persona 5 Royal is the best game ever made.
Yeah, that's the one you've been not even borderline, just flat out obsessed with.
Yeah. For context, Sea Monster, I've been playing Persona 5. It's my first Persona game at 5 Royal. And Minecraft World can tell you he has watched brain rot occur in real time.
We've been on VC multiple times. It's been going like this for about a month.
I'm not okay.
Oh yeah, no, you're not.
I have put over 100 hours into this game, and I'm not even done with the story.
Oh, jeez. Yeah. Wow.
It's good, though. It is good.
Yeah. I think this seems like I guess this may seem like a good place to put this one to bed, I guess, or at least this particular stream. I'm sure we will be referencing -1 more in the future, give some, in comparison to other things or what have you. But yeah, as far as a stream devoted specifically to it, maybe with some tangents aside, I think this pretty much a 3-hour stream, pretty good stuff, and I'll be sure to put together a little super cut for it as soon as it's done. Just to be a little more bite-sized for people. Thanks guys for coming on, and thanks Black Rooney if you're watching this for coming on.
Thank you for inviting us.
Yeah, no problem. So any plugs or anything, just so we have that base covered before we go?
Well, you can find me at Minecraft World 1954 on YouTube, or just that's my or just Minecraft World, where I post kaiju and versus related content. Well, I used to post versus stuff. Now I'm working on kaiju stuff and some other stuff in the background. With one big note, with tomorrow I have my one monstrous moment as well premiering, which is, I'm not going to spoil what it is, but it is a really fun one. And then I also have a video essay on Project Nemesis in the works, as well as other video essays in the works, including one on Howl from Beyond the Fog and a thematic analysis of Titanic Creation's Soul War. You can also find me on Instagram and Kara, where I post artworks and concepts for a Greek mythology-inspired kaiju story. And I also have a Blue Sky now, so you can find me there. Again, all of those under Minecraft World 1954, so yeah. And as for recommendations, go read Project Nemesis, go watch the Gamera movies, go watch Ultraman Rising, go watch The Owl House, go watch Transformers 1, go watch Godzilla Minus One. Please, go watch Godzilla Minus One. And Tiamat deserve better. Take care. Peace.
Nice. Kaiju Kuru.
Follow my Twitter. As far as I sadly have to pull out of this one monstrous moment. Work and school has left me utterly exhausted with no actual desire to get onto my computer again after I take care of what I have to do. Sad, so that is unfortunate, but I will hopefully one of these days I will have the ability to get started on doing more YouTube related stuff. I don't know when it'll be though. Because there's a lot of stuff I want to share my 2 cents on. But outside of that, as far as recommendations for myself from myself, go watch Ultraman Arc, go watch Ultraman Rising, go watch Transformers 1. If you for some reason are watching this stream and you haven't watched Godzilla Minus One, what are you doing? Go watch Minus One.
Yeah.
Go play Final Fantasy 16. Go play Persona 5 Royal. Tiamat deserved worse. Baggin deserves better. That's all from me.
I will send you to Jesus a second
Fight
time.
me!
Not scream, you know you cannot beat me.
Absolutely not.
Devon has a question. Why do you care so much for Scylla or Tiamat, 2 monsters that barely appear other than in books that have
Because it's
that
funny.
are debatable whether or not? Because it's funny. Okay.
Because I actually happen to like Tiamat. The fact her design is interesting, her characterization is interesting, and the fact that she's one of the few Titans to actually give Godzilla a run for her money actually allows for some interesting things. And I'm a little pissed about how the new monsters were treated in GXK. I have a love for new original monsters, and I really hope the Monsterverse treats them better. Scylla, I like less, but she's cool too. Also, the mythology connotations to them are just, wow, I love it.
Nice. And this has pretty much been your host, the Sea Monster, hosting this one monstrous stream on Godzilla Minus One. Because why stop at a moment in this movie? The whole thing is great. It's a monstrous moment, one monstrous movie.
I was talking in VC with Kuru at one point, and I basically said, you could just say the entire movie of Minus One for your one monstrous moment, and my response would just be valid.
Yeah. Pretty much, yeah. That was kind of like the gist of it, because I just was not able to find a particular one monstrous moment, or really the time to be able to put together a production video thing, in and of itself. So this kind of seemed like the way to go. But as far as those kinds of productions go, yeah, pretty much expect a super cut of the -1 discussion down the line. Yeah, from what I can tell, this stream is on the One Monstrous Moment 770 edition playlist. So that's awesome. Thank you, Omni, if you're watching this, or listening to this.
Oh wait, is it? Did he already release the playlist?
Yeah, the playlist is out there. Yeah, the playlist is available. And this stream is on it. Yeah. Well, I mean, there's some videos that won't premiere until tomorrow, I believe.
I know, but still. Oh shit, he did.
Yeah. Yeah, it's out there. Yep, thank you, Omni.
I'm the second one in the lineup. Let's go.
Yeah. I'll be putting together a supercut for the discussing -1 in general, pretty much. In case, as like a way to make up for the possibility of not doing an essay video on it, just kind of going in depth on it, enough, at least in good chunks as well. But as far as like an actual production, full-on essay video, I am currently working on a video for Godzilla Final Wars, and let's just say there's a couple of like revelations in that video that are as I'm putting together the video, and as I'm thinking about looking over the movie more, that just like, oh jeez. It's like this, it's like a certain other movie that has like a much more infamous nature, let's just say.
Oh, no.
Yeah, I mean, it's not a kaiju movie, what I'm referring to, but it was done by a certain show that did do some kaiju movies. But hold on, I won't spoil it. I will not spoil it.
Okay.
But here's the. Well, let's just say if you pretty much somehow figure it out, but. Yeah, that hopefully I'll get it done by December, pretty much. I won't give a specific date in December, but it will. But I will do my best to have it be out by the end of the year, for sure. And as far as other projects go, I've kind of teased about doing a potential another thing for a big video on GXK. Well, what happened? Well, what the heck?
Sorry, my headphones keep dropping.
That's
Rip.
Rip. There's like another like video that I'm trying to like work on a longman for GXK, and I definitely think there's definitely been quite a bit of insights over the course of these streams that have certainly been helping sort of gestate that one, but that one won't happen anytime soon. I'm just saying that will probably be a big one for sure. At least I'm hoping. At least I'm definitely want to make sure it will be the best that I can possibly make it, for sure. But other than that, this is pretty much. I guess again, this has been your host, the Sea Monster, and as far as recommendations, go watch Transformers 1. Definitely go watch Godzilla -1. Go watch John Wick, because that movie turned 10 this year, and I'm pretty much planning on catching a re-release of that tomorrow as the stream. So that's gonna be awesome. So there is that. Don't watch Joker. What?
Sorry, I thought you were done. I'll say my thing after you're done.
Okay. Don't go watch Joker 2. You will be depressed. That's a recommendation of what not to do. But as far as things to do, go watch Transformers 1. Go watch Godzilla -1. Go watch John Wick. Go watch the Universal Monsters stuff and all that fun stuff. I mean, at least like the first of those particular movies, like Dracula, Frankenstein, Wolfman, so on and so on. definitely also go watch Wolfman 2010. That movie is good, even though some people try to say it's not for some reason. Antonio says, watch Venom the Last Dance. Funny thing, I've actually seen that. It was fine. It was just fine. It happened.
I'm gonna watch it and enjoy myself.
Eddie,
Yeah,
I'm on one monstrous moment now.
yeah. But take care of you folks. Happy G Day.
And one
Or
last
Godzilla
thing,
Day.
fellas.
happy. I think we need to wish someone a happy birthday.
Yeah.
Happy birthday, Godzilla.
Happy birthday, Godzilla.
Long live the
Alright.
king.
Long live the
71
king.
years, let's go!
In the words of Ash, hail to the king, baby. Take care, folks. Good night.
Bada bing, bada boom.
Bye.
Bye.